Just falls with raindrops, rain down.
But okay, stop.
Why do you hate us?
It's bullshit for your health. The podcast is episode 123. Today we have Isaiah and Donica joining us, and we'll probably have Devontae at some point. He did say he's free at 3:30, and that he was, I guess, gonna pop on. I'm not sure.
Is he gonna pop off though?
Maybe. You guys were dueling it out 2 episodes ago. Y'all need to finish up that.
I mean, I'm gonna apologize for the personal shot that was not intended to be personal, but I'm gonna stick by what I said.
I think Marcus also said that he was gonna pull up today, but I sent him the thing and he didn't respond. But he did say he was free, so we'll see. But congratulations to Marcus, though. He did get a new job with the forestry department in Baltimore. So the federal government might have tried to take a brother down, but he still prevails. But all right, man. But a lot of different things happening over the last month, and I don't know. I feel like this podcast has gotten very politics centered and maybe a little bit too formulaic for my liking. I want this to always be a space that we can bullshit, have fun, but stay serious when it's time to get serious. But I don't think we need to really break up all our topics between like, oh, this is the bullshit section, this is the fun section. The only section we will delineate from now on is our health topic of the month, the week, or the episode. And today's health topic is actually going to be very specific because we are at war with anti-intellectualism in this country. I mean, you guys have seen it, right? Like the war against universities, the war against trained professional medical advice, the war against economists. We are literally living in a timeline where the president is about to bankrupt the fucking country. So
Niggas getting sued left and right. That's crazy.
You mean like the president?
Yeah, the president just suing schools and everything like that, just because.
But unfortunately, with his authoritarianism, he's moving faster than even lawsuits can keep up with. So, I mean, it's just been a whirlwind of activity. Where do you guys want to start? I mean, I sent y'all the little study guide. I don't even know what you call it, topic list that I put together. Did you guys get a chance to look at it?
I glanced at some points.
Jumped out
traveling.
at you?
Oh no, Sunday at 5 p.m. I was drunk by that. I wanted to say I was traveling, but that was last week.
Fucking weak.
I saw the Diddy shit. I kept up with the Diddy shit.
You want to start there? You want to? For
Wait.
how this episode might be, you want to keep it light? Can't stop. Won't stop. Sorry.
I'm glad you guys can laugh about it.
Why do people yell? He's blowing up cars. That nigga's gonna be buried under the jail, bro. It's gonna
Okay, but the issue is not him. It's the
culture surrounding it.
Yes, it's the trickle down economics, my nigga. That's the only thing trickling down is the motherfucking bad behavior. And
He was peeing in Cassie's mouth.
oh my god, not the piss is the only thing trickling down. I hate you.
Wait, but like on a respectful note though, like to ask Donica and
She
Jabari.
called you a race car driver.
I mean, I was like, has Isaiah even been behind the wheel with me?
But I will give Isaiah some credit. We did work with a Danica at our last job, and I swear to God, Danica, I was like, she says her name wrong. That's not how you say that name. But sorry,
I always want to call her Danica so bad. I don't know why. But I think
Point of
but,
reference.
like, do you think though that Cassie like is like partly responsible though, like for like maybe like just agreeing like to the like to like be peed in the mouth or like to have sex with like multiple workers? Like you don't think she's like partly responsible for that? Because she could have.
Let's see if Jabari answers the Donica
Devil's
question.
advocate though, like because she could have had the choice to kind of just like remove herself out of the situation because she does have the resources, as you know, a very very like
her resources
per what? Like per what though? Yeah, like her resources per whom? Per her
I mean,
own
she had the financial means to get out of the way of.
But where did she get that money from? Did she come from a rich family?
No,
but I mean,
or did she? What did she make money from?
Yeah, she had one hot song that was produced by Ryan Leslie, and then was immediately picked up by Puff Daddy. and
Yeah.
signed his label. So
Right. So her
I
only
think
means of income was through. Let me answer the question because it wasn't even directed to you.
Okay. No,
Um,
no, no, no. It's cool. It's cool.
I agree.
It's just like a sensitive topic, so it's cool.
no, it is, and I wanted to specifically answer it because I think that um, Cassie's what 33. She's my age,
I
like
think for
close
you.
close to
Something
my
like
age.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, I'm really glad you asked this question. I feel like the immediate response could be to jump down your throat and be like, "No, of course you never fucking tried," and like da da da. But it's actually a
Yeah.
very nuanced question, and I think that the
He's
best way.
women. People are like, whoa, whoa.
Calm down, calm down. But I do think the nuanced reality of it is that, like, and I don't know how to. I feel like comfortable saying this because I know people don't look at me and view me as like a quote unquote weak woman or like weak individual. But the reality is, like, why does it stop? Like, the homegirls have a hard time saying no, and it's not just from like a. It's from a multi-layered perspective, and I'm using myself, a regular human being, not an artist, not a celebrity, as an example. And my perspective is multi-layered. One, no, I don't think Cassie is responsible. I think that there are decisions that she made, but I don't think the consequences of those decisions are her fault. Additionally, I do think that we overestimate what and when a fully developed brain looks like. And she was entirely too young and exposed to too many things too quickly for her to really have an understanding of what's right and wrong. And I think that we could sit there and be like, well, it's information, it's all out there. Well, I can tell you right now, I'm 30 years old, and I'm not ashamed to admit that it's hard to make the right choice. And it's even harder when there's something on the line. Every girl I know has made the wrong choice, and that nigga won't even giving her nothing. Won't controlling her career, won't paying her bills, won't doing nothing. So I think it's very much like there's multiple layers to it. And I can't speak to Cassie's development as a woman because I don't know her, but I can only imagine me at 19 in that situation. Me at
Yeah.
30 in that situation would be hard. And just to give like some of the like thought processes and why you would not do what seems like the obvious thing to do, it's like, is it the safety? Number one, of course, of course. Jabari, how many times have you heard me say I give every nigga that asks me his for my number, and my actual phone number? Because one, niggas are psycho and will call you right then and there, which sometimes they're not doing it to be psycho, but sometimes they are. But I also know I've learned from the way men interact with me that some of the ways they like to perceive me as like I need to be challenged as a person. I don't
Okay.
know if Cassie gives that type of persona. I think she gives more of that demure, easily manipulated at 19, easily manipulated, like just is glad to be in the room type of environment. And remember, Cassie is the one who came forward, but there's been several women, men, and otherwise. She may not have spoke to the things she saw. She spoke to that involved other celebrities who could have been her age, younger or older, right?
Hmm.
So sometimes it's also like your environment determines what's normal. Like, if that's what niggas around you is doing, you're trying to get put on, you're not about to be the one that's like, I'm not doing that. Like, and I know that sounds stupid, but it is true that like high school never ends. Like, people, there are the popular kids, there's everybody who's trying to get in with the popular crew, and you're gonna start doing what they're doing.
Facts.
And I think just off that, I can't speak to whether she was in love with the nigga or thought she was in love with him, which is a whole nother tie. I can't speak to how much financially she had committed to him. Because remember, these people are predators. They don't just take control over your things. I'm about to wrap it up, but they also will put you in a situation where you need them. And not just for the connections, but your money could be tied to them. You could owe them money because they fronted you what you need to get to where you need to get to. There's so many nuances, but at baseline, no, I don't think that she should be held responsible for being manipulated, just like any other woman we saw that happen to.
To add to what Donica is saying and not subtract from it in any way, I think the nuance, because specifically the nuance that and I'm talking to you, Isaiah, but I'm also talking to any man listening, is the nuance of we are not women. And unfortunately, in our patriarchal society, a lot of ways that men as a whole have victimized women, especially when you come to the dynamics of like an older man dating a younger woman. Cassie was 19 when she was introduced to Diddy at 37. Off of the bat, you go to most individuals who aren't participating in that style of relationship, you'd ask them, is that appropriate? And they would be like, nah. Now,
Mind you, she wasn't introduced to him as a sex worker.
But
she was introduced to him in a professional capacity.
Yes, but either way, they started the date soon after, right? So you ask any random nigga, yo, is that cool? They'd be like, nah. And then you get a few niggas who'd be like, well, I mean, if it was consensual. Then you ask them the next question, what if that was your sister? What would you say? What if that was your daughter? What would you say? And you're gonna get to a line where the majority of niggas go, I wouldn't want my person that I love doing that. And I feel like that's like one of the nuances and an intersectionality that when it's not somebody, like as a man, when it's not somebody that we personally know, it's not always our first thought to be like, how would I feel if that was my loved one? Where for women, their first thought is, how would I feel if that was me, yo? You know what I'm saying? The Eggs and Grits podcast talked about this really well, where they're talking about how as black men, we really got to start taking a deeper thought when it comes to issues around women and thinking about how we want, let's just say, white people to perceive us through the lens that as black men or as black people, we have experienced a certain relationship with white nationalism and white people in this country. So they need to understand when they're interacting with us that we're seeing it through this lens. Well, then, if we can understand that intersectionality, we also need to be able to flip that when it comes to these conversations that are happening a lot right now when it comes to black women, especially when these black women are entertainers. And then on top of that, they're victims of domestic violence or violence in general. And so, while I see where your question comes from, I would say, first and foremost, thank God that this is happening in the court, not of public opinion, but the court of law. So we don't even need to really rationalize how much of a role did Cassie play in her own victimization, because what we can't say is that she wasn't a victim. We all saw a video where Diddy fucking 5-starred her to the fucking face. Like, what are we talking about? Like, do you think that was the only that happened on camera, nigga, in the middle of a hotel? If he was willing to do that there, what the fuck else? We can all imagine what was happening, right? And then on top of that, we all have and like on top of that, the person whose character is in question is not Pope Francis, you know. It's not motherfucking Ice Cube, who hasn't had had a bad story about him in the last 30 years.
Actually, can we even pause on that? Because realistically, we don't even need to be trying to assign a personality to an abuser.
For sure.
People physically, mentally, and emotionally abuse other people intentionally and unintentionally all the time. When it gets to the level of what Diddy is doing, that's why they're trying to run a RICO case on him, because it's a conglomeration of numerous illegal acts from various levels. But also, we don't know. And I think that's the hardest thing about social media and like everything being entered into the court of public opinion. Y'all don't even know what your own family member does, and you want to talk about somebody in some far off land and be like, oh, they would never do that. Based off what? We have parasocial relationships with these people, right? We don't know anything about them other than what they've reflected to us. And outside of being a celebrity and the clout, and honestly, I don't want to say responsibility, but what's the word I'm looking for when we give them a certain amount of leeway because they have this status, right?
Yeah.
Or trust. Huh?
Grace.
Yeah, I mean, the trust, the grace that we put into individuals because they enter into a position of like public view, I think we're a bit delusional to not expect that.
Behind canceling Drake, they should have got behind canceling Puff Daddy, Tory Lanez.
Yep.
All these artists who have only been charged, but some of them convicted and are sitting in a fucking four-wall.
And have years of rumors, problematic behavior, right? Like, at this point, it's not Kathy showed up out of nowhere and spoke to this, like, perfect human. People have been trying to stand against Diddy for a long fucking time, but he's a powerful nigga.
And again,
I find that crazy though about the Drake and the like people jumping on the Drake shit, but like not really jump on the Diddy shit.
But
that boggles my mind.
But that has roots in like
again intersectionality.
Very different intersectionality.
I feel like, and again, I'm not saying there aren't women who are a problem, who are also championing some of the wrong or worse people in hip hop, but who is the main purveyor of
We call those people
culture?
pygmies.
Who are the main purveyors of this culture? It's black men. Who are the main pushers of what is at the top of the genre? Black men. Who are the main detractors when something happens in the culture that we don't think is a part of that culture? It's black men. So like it does have to start with us in a way when we have these conversations, as Donica was saying, in our own immediate circles. Because I put on one hand, you know, if you asked any random man and you got to the point where they were now talking about a woman that they are blood relationship with or they love, but we also got to talk about how many of our friend groups have been infiltrated by individuals who commit these same acts of violence. And it's kind of hard to get mad at P. Diddy or kind of get mad at Tory Lanez for inflicting this violence when you won't even look at your mans to the left who beat up his girl last Tuesday. And again, that's extreme, but all I'm saying is it's happened in my own fucking friend group, and I've had to cut niggas off because not only did niggas do shit, but niggas didn't speak about it or like try to have a dialogue about it. Niggas just tried to like move on. That shit didn't happen. And it's like, nah, bro, like that's not fucking cool, bro. And again,
But I think that was the point I made one time that seemed to rub someone the wrong way about like, it's all well and good till you have a kid and that same person is around your child. And people think that like, oh, women are always complaining and hop, skipping and jumping. But the reality is like, I say this all the time. It wasn't that long ago that women were property, like literal property. And I think what's always interesting to me, and again, remember that I'm an immigrant, remember that I am black in America, but I'm an immigrant. So my blackness is an American experience, not an experience that I had before I came here in the same context. That being said, it would never make sense to me how a group of people in which have actually experienced and understood oppression as a whole, I'm talking about black people, right? Black people have experienced oppression as a whole and suddenly forget that quickly what it means to be oppressed and want to like push to the side these stories and different things that we're hearing. And more importantly, if you're, this is just me, if you know that the popular opinion is not what the fuck you're talking about, why are people so bold and like saying things out here? The newest thing I saw was a horrible take about y'all crazy if you think DDG's career is over just because he slapped Hallie.
oh yeah,
The nigga said domestic violence is, is normal in relationships. I said, okay, hold the fucking phone. But something you also pointed out earlier, Jabbar, that I think has to make a difference. We are in a different sphere from Cassie. I don't know what Cassie did before, but she was 19. I'm assuming she didn't go to college. And I don't know what her high school schooling was like or anything like that. But critical thinking is a literal skill. And part of critical thinking is like being able to read the environment and understand like what your options are. But if this girl chose music and she doesn't have any other avenue and is like, well, shit, I need to make it out the mud or whatever, and she feels like she's back, you never know what you're going to do until you feel backed into a corner. Like, and that doesn't, it's not always like in a fight or flight situation literally, but at some point, yeah, it definitely crossed your brain like, this doesn't make sense, I don't want this to be happening. But to go from that thought to the action of removing yourself from a situation with someone who's not just trying to do freaky shit, he's physically abusing you. And I think that's what we keep
blowing up
forgetting.
cars, bro. This nigga fucking blew up
She
cars.
tried to run away from him in the hotel room. That could have been her trying to be like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he said, fuck that. Come here. And yoked her ass up on camera, multiple cameras. We see it from 10 different angles.
Hey,
Yoked
Diddy's
her up like it was
a real life villain.
drug her down
He's
the
a real life
hallway.
villain.
A real life supervillain, bro.
So I think we don't even need to touch anymore. I think what we need to start doing, and
Wait, no, I do have a question about it. Did anybody clock Usher's testimony?
no, I didn't even know he testified. Usher
Yeah, I didn't
testified.
either.
Look into it. I didn't get a chance to. I wanted to look at it this morning, but I was like, it's too early in the morning for this shit.
What did he? Did
He was like, I don't know. I didn't look. I only saw one YouTube video, and so I was like, is this real? What the fuck is this? But the YouTube video clip was like him crying and being like, I was only 14 or something. I don't
What?
know. Take it with a grain of salt, but
Oh, hell
I mean, the
no.
people that I've heard prior to this situation on the short list of candidates: Columbus Short, Usher, Justin Bieber, Cassie,
Kid
it's
Cudi.
Tim Parker. And I'm trying to think. There's one more person who I remember names circling about them trying to say he did something to him,
We
to
gotta get
them.
off the fucking internet, bro. Okay, not talking to you, Donica, but specifically, I know we have been victimized, black people, we have been victimized by the court system. I'm not here to detract that history, but if we are going to sit here today and go along with this authoritative white nationalist, anti-intellectual drive to discredit how far we've come, there are black judges, there are black lawyers, there are individuals who, I'm not going to say black cops because ACAB, but there are individuals now who are striving to make the criminal justice system, at least from the higher levels, into what it exposes it or purports itself to be, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Chief Justice Roberts on the Supreme Court is the same as Ketanji Brown Jackson. Like, if you're here to tell me that, please shut the fuck up and go read a fucking book. So, at some point, when shit gets to the court level, and it's especially between an individual who has successfully climbed the ladder of capitalism to the point where they got away with some level of victimization for decades, you gotta just let that shit be handled by the courts. He's the Harvey Weinstein of music, it seems like. And you know where Harvey Weinstein deserves to be? Jail. I want to move on to the next person that emulates this miscalculation, I feel, when it comes to the black community and the rightful anger that we hold towards the systems that we fight against, and it's Tory Lanez. Yo, if Tory Lanez really got stabbed 14 times, that sucks. We should not have a prison system that allows...
That's leprechaun lanes to you.
We should not have a prison system that allows harm to individuals who are serving their sentence to the community or whatever you want to call it. I don't fucking know. I don't believe we should have a system like that. I believe our system should look something more like Switzerland or Sweden, where it was more dormitory style. It was really rehabilitative programs for niggas to read, learn about the humanities and the arts, get the mental health care they need. But a place where you go and you're worried about getting stabbed 14 times, nah, that's not cool. But then the question of should Tory Lanez really be in jail? Again, yes, he was found guilty in a court of law. And if you guys are telling me something was finagled, there's more evidence that the bodyguard of Kelsey, blah, 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 take that to the court of law. Because talking
And
about...
let them because y'all also don't know what the fucking definition of evidence is.
Hey,
You
did they
really
ever
be
find
whooping
out?
your
No,
ass.
Because literally, niggas want to scream from the high heavens about black people being victimized by the court, and they want to rest their laurels on a P. Diddy or Tory Lanez, when you have people like Representative LaMonica McIver, who's being charged with assaulting ICE agents while she was performing her civic duties of trying to go figure out why they're taking fucking U.S. citizens to ICE detention centers. That's a black woman we could stand behind that's actively getting victimized by an authoritarian United States government and criminal justice system.
But you know what?
Niggas are wasting their time.
Do you ever consider that, like, maybe, and I'm asking this as black men who have black moms. Yeah. I don't know about Isaiah.
Black what?
I'm saying black men who have black moms, right?
Oh.
I don't know. Sounds like anyone assume that your mother was black.
I'm getting some Jello. My bad. I'm getting some Jello.
You get your Jello. Is your mom black?
Is your mom black, white, or yellow?
She's biracial.
Okay, but is she black? What's the question?
Yeah, she is black. She
You're a nigga.
Yeah, I'm biracial. There's a lot of races between black and white. Anyway, y'all like I'm biracial. Like it's only one combination.
Look, are you Kansas City biracial? Or are you Seattle Seahawk biracial?
Nah, I'm black because my daddy is black.
I'm gonna date Sierra biracial, or I'm gonna date that white who hates niggas biracial? I don't know what her name is.
Well, I almost said a name I shouldn't say. Anyway, being that as it may, regardless of whether you grew up with a single mom or both parents, if your mom was black, at some point you were like, wow, my mom is a black woman. She could do all of these things. And because we generally tend to perceive our moms in that way anyway. But specifically, the dynamic between black men and black moms, I understand. But what I fail to understand is, how did you go from having so much reverence for your black mom to so much vitriol for black women who are not your mama? And that's what I really don't understand, because why is it you want a black woman to prove things that have already been proven in, again, the court of law? This is not a Twitter beef with Meg the Stallion and whatever his face is. I almost call that nigga Trey Songz because they all the same. But
So again, I don't want to generalize because
wait, let me finish my point. Thank you. I don't know what the like difference in mindset and or consideration when it comes to how we interpret the information. But my question was going to be, is it perhaps the, do y'all view your mothers as strong black women and therefore think that you don't, like, a strong black woman is less likely to be in a victim position and that's why you question it more? Or is that not a connection at all?
So again, not to generalize, to speak personally, I view my mom as a strong black woman, and I can also view her as a individual who has lived her own individual life. And so the problems that I've had with my mother have been is nuanced, you know. I think the question you're asking is not a question that the individuals who are actually entrenched in the patriarchal thought that we're talking about, that discredit the humanity of not just black women but women in general. They don't even get that deep, right? So the individuals that are actually having this conversation on social media from the conversational side of we need to relook at evidence, or Meg is lying, Kelsey's lying, Tory Lanez isn't lying, or somebody was saying the whole reason why Tory Lanez didn't tell the truth on the stand was because he comes from a background with a single mother and he could not live with himself by saying something on the stand to take a black mother away from her, a single black mother away from her child. Like, that was actual think pieces that were going on Twitter. And what I'm saying is, I don't want to generalize this as like a thought of a majority of black men. I don't think it is, but I think in hip hop spaces that are being communicated on online platforms, the reason why is that a lot of the anti-intellectual conversations are what is entertaining and eye-catching to the masses for a variety of reasons, right? It's eye-catching to those of us who do have a little bit more intellectual pathways, where we're more schooled in science that's like, you know, scholastic or like college or collegiate training or whatever. So we're more trusting of certain systems, especially when they get to a rigorous standpoint of like hundreds of millions, well, not hundreds of millions, but tens of millions of dollars on lawyer fees and shit like this. It's not like this is like a case of a 18-year-old shooting a police officer in downtown fucking Chicago and there's no body cam footage and somehow, like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is not like a civil rights fucking case. This is an entertainer who got caught shooting another entertainer, and it happened in the court of law. Intellectually speaking, but what I'm saying is, intellectually speaking, like, this is a conspiracy theory of the high order of like a flat earther or a, you know, like black men of academia,
It's giving read a book, babe.
Black men of worldliness, I don't think are really discussing this in truth. Now it might be like, you know,
Okay, wait. Exactly, though. And this is where, if we're talking about not just what we consume, but what we do with said information, I think part of what's hard is they're not discussing it. And they're not discussing it one way or the other. And I think that aspect of not feeling support as a black woman, mind you, I don't even know if niggas know this. The case against Tory is not Megan Pete versus Tory Lanez. It's the state of fucking California. That's who brought charges against him.
I'll be right back. Keep talking. I gotta pee real quick.
Yeah, the IBS people crazy. I'm kidding.
I'm listening.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Zay trying to formulate a solid jello that look crazy. Did you? Either way, but I think it's women clock that. You know what I mean? Like when your loved ones, your hopefully not your partner, but if your close
Hopefully.
friends, family, and other people are not even addressing it on some like, I think sometimes it's interesting how there's like kid gloves and like gentleness when it comes to women and other races and
Hmm.
how we view them. But it's like black women need to be visibly weak in order to be treated softly or to be believed or to be protected. Like, I promise you, I don't know no black women who want to do bad all by themselves. It is a learned response to every time I or someone who looks like me gets put in a position of vulnerability, no one's upholding them, right? And even when it comes to you can go, I mean, there are the people who are super aware of everything, like super politically inclined, social justice inclined, and like stay abreast of things. But I do think that these pop culture conversations, yeah, you could be smart and whatever and be like, you'd be like, ah, it's none of my business. But I do think that it's conversations like that. If you imagine if 2020 you would have had a conversation with that one problematic friend to see what they had to say, you would have been like, hold on, what? What you say? You think what about what now? And I'm not saying that it's your job to figure out who are the abusers in your group, but to what Jabari said earlier, they're there. And if you're delusional and think that they're not, that's where it becomes a problem. And to me, silence is complicit. You know what I mean? Like if you don't ever speak out against it, then I don't care. I don't care what you're saying. You've never shown me that you're actively anti domestic violence, that you're actively anti anything that could be up for discussion. And I get it, like there's a lot going on, it's overwhelming, but I'm sorry if all you care about is your 3 a.m. dunking your face in a bowl of ice water, going to the gym, looking like a fool, but just doing it for clout. I don't care how good you look, how much money you got in your bank account, or how whatever it is that you're successful and him you think you are not a self-actualized human being. And if you don't know what self-actualized means, then we could talk about it. But I think it is interesting. We're like, you pointed it out, and I don't think it's a huge thing. I do think it's something to think about. Like, yeah, niggas aren't talking about it one way or the other. And how does that impact your social circle, both the men and the women that you interact with?
I do not know the answer to how do we get black men specifically, but then black people as a whole, and then reaching outside our communities, people, Americans as a whole, to start having more difficult conversations about issues that really matter, that aren't exciting because they're novel or exciting because they're against or just contrary to classic thought. But I think, again, it all starts in the home, right? To start conversations, you have to know information. So you got to be paying attention. Again, Ground News, beautiful. Love the website. But me personally, I'm finding new information through all avenues. Both of you guys can attest that we can't have one normal conversation about bullshit in our day without me asking about or lightly dropping something that happened in like the current news stream. And I think like that's something that we need to start normalizing again. You know, it's talking about politics, it's talking about the real tough issues of life, and not just to like have this catharsis of emotion, but really digging deep. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop having surface level conversations.
Do you think though, for the people that that do want to have those conversations, but like just get frustrated at the fact that like nothing gets done, or it's just like the same old, like do you think that people that feel that way, they should?
I agree, but that's where I'm speaking to, right? Because if you're a person who thinks that they're well learned, well informed, And because things aren't moving as fast as you want them to, or because things are regressing and you use that as an opportunity, I would say as an excuse to check out, or in my word, become apathetic, I think that's where you need to read more, because how dare you think that progress isn't moving as fast as you want it to. And again, that starts from,
While you do nothing to contribute to progress.
that's coming from, if we're talking about who we've been talking about, specifically black men, right? Then it goes to black people, then it goes to outside of our communities, because again, if I'm just speaking from my own experience as a dark-skinned black man, I know every time that I get down, or every time I like to get frustrated or I get angry, the thing that soothes my soul, the thing that gives me the recharges the fuel tank, that no, like, we have to keep fighting, we have to keep speaking, we have to keep pushing for a better future, is when I read up on authors such as Walter Rodney. I read up on authors like Angela Davis, individuals like Asata Shakur. I just ordered her book. Individuals who have lived through a worse America, both technological wise, but also racially wise, and persevered even when things looked like they were regressing, and they continue to push forward under undue persecution. You know what I'm saying? And again, specifically talking to black men, and then reaching out further and going to the black population, and then further than that, the American population, it is a question of, who do you think you are? You're tired? Nigga, who do you think you are? Don't you think the niggas that were fighting to break free from the chains of chattel slavery were tired? Oh, you're exhausted? Nigga, who do you think you are? You think the kids that were working fucking 12-hour shifts in the factory, losing fingers and losing arms, and their parents who were dying in the roads to make sure that they could implement a 5-day work week, weren't exhausted? Bro, like, who do you think you
But I
are?
think there's something to be said about, like, you can't fully participate in capitalism and have a communalism mindset. They don't go together. And so I think as they let us into these different spaces, a lot of people leave behind, quote unquote, their what's the word? Connection and loyalty to what was not that long ago of an experience. Like, we have short-term memory loss, dog. Like, we're not
Bullshit.
like
If I'm if
what
I'm if I'm talking again, the reason why I'm gonna say bullshit
bullshit
is
to it.
that's what you're saying. People do forget, but they don't forget; they ignore it, because we're talking
Right.
now specifically to black
It's
men,
willful ignorance.
black population. Because my nigga, I know for a fact, if you're successful, where do you go home for Christmas, my nigga? Where do you go home for Thanksgiving, my nigga? No, they do. They do. You go home and see your grandma at some point. You go home and you
Yeah,
see
I'm
your
not
mother.
from America. It doesn't have shit to do with me.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the black people who are so entrenched in capitalism at this point that they can no longer remember their communalism roots. I'm saying that's bullshit, because they still do them. Just the fucking circumference of what they think of as communalism has shrank. And what I'm saying is, it hasn't shrank because you
It's no
forgot.
longer like the
You've
community,
ignored
it's
it.
only family.
It's only me. And then you wonder why now your kids, because you just shrank it to family, while your kids are like, I don't even fuck with the family, yo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
What you have
you can't get your kid to go to the family reunion because they're like, who the fuck is that? Like,
exactly.
or
And what
every time I hang out with so and so, they don't got the same drip that I got because you're part of the family that made it. You know what I mean? And I mean, it was so. I think that was one of the first things I thought to be very interesting when I met an ex-boyfriend's family. I was like, oh, y'all still got like family members that haven't like made it to where y'all have made it, which is like weird because in Nigerian and Indian culture, it on both sides, it's very much like you pull one. You know what I mean? Like
we
when
talked about it
you
last
really can't.
episode.
You can't go up
The
without bringing
social,
everybody with you.
the social, because the social contract in a lot of African countries with the way colonialism worked was that we only have enough fucking money to send one person in the family to go get that education. And my nigga, you best believe if you're successful, you come back and you grab somebody from the family, and so on and so forth.
I
Unfortunately,
mean, that's what all the African kids that come to
because
America just for education do. They go back, they start either working in their family's businesses or start them because they understand, like, I have something that is a resource that needs to be shared with other people. So, where did we lose that in the diaspora?
we lost it after 400 years of chattel slavery, Jim Crow, segregation. And what I'm
I
saying,
disagree. I think this is a newer,
no,
more
my nigga,
acute issue
how are you gonna
How do
disagree
you
with me
think
when
it's
I'm
an
telling you?
acute?
Right? Like again, as the experiences,
because I'm a human with an opinion. I don't think
that's
that
what,
you lost communalism during slavery. I'm saying this
No,
seems like
I
a
what,
didn't
more
say,
what makes
I
you
didn't
acute.
think,
say slavery. I said over 400 years of slavery,
Mm,
what
of then
makes you
Jim
mm.
think it's an
Crow,
acute
of then
issue?
segregation, of then police brutality. What I'm saying is, I cannot speak to the differences in continental African countries and their people and the continental um, Americas and the black people on those countries because we all experience different levels of white nationalism. But specifically in America, to survive in the way that a whole lot of different things needed to happen as black people for you to even get that one family member to be able to get to succeed, which in totality of it, one of it was not just the fact that families were ripped apart during slavery, right? But then once slavery and emancipation happened, a lot of people, if you wanted to move towards more industrialized cities, you had to move to the north. Not everybody was going to move to the north. Westward expansion with gold. So I'm just saying, like the idea of America and how you have to be successful or to possibly become successful has changed over time with needing people to migrate to different areas is one thing. On top of that, you did have so many different social structures that prevented not just the insulation of African and African American culture, but it necessitated that you leave parts of that culture behind if you were to be quote unquote successful in the metropole that you're living in. Because unlike again Africa, where you do have individuals having to assimilate to French culture or British culture through schooling and dress and whatnot, and maybe leaving Nigeria or Ghana to go over to the UK and France, right? But at the same time, your culture is still being insulated in Nigeria and Ghana. Yes, there was colonialism, but you still, because it's still a black fucking country, eventually, if you can hold on long enough and get those people out, you've still insulated the majority of your culture that wasn't stolen resource wise, right? And those individuals who are gaining those skills in the metropole, which is the whole idea of why they didn't like to bring refined skills to the continent of Africa, is that they're going to come back to the metropoles and give those skills. Not you have to learn these skills in the metropole and you're staying in the metropole, which is what happened to African Americans. But again, I digress. I'm saying that communalism isn't even forgotten, though. It's just being ignored because we still employ many of these different things through what we call blended families, through what people have been doing with just black community in the pockets where families have managed to stick together, and you see that in cities like LA, you see that like in cities like Baltimore, you see that in New Orleans, you see that in Selma, Alabama, you see that in Atlanta, Georgia, you see that in Fayetteville, Georgia. Like, no, that communalism is still there. Unfortunately, almost intrinsically, those areas are also plagued by a lot of the white nationalist structures that have prevented the communities to develop to the levels where they need to develop, and they would have naturally developed without fucking emotional and societal terrorism. Ooh, that was a big one. I'm sorry. Damn, nigga.
Nah, nah, kind of blew my mind a little bit. But nah, like I'm just kind of curious though, like why Donica thinks that it's like an acute like issue. I
I
just
thought he was saying slavery caused it, but I
oh
missed
no.
the part where he said over the course of 400 years. I
Oh,
heard it
okay.
as 400 years ago. I said, nigga, what?
Oh,
400
okay.
years ago, y'all was African. Y'all,
Fire nation.
y'all niggas was Nigerian and West and all kinds of, like, you was Africans. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's a learned evolution as a result. But also, please don't get me on my fucking soapbox about how if you've seen on social media where those girls draw the like diagram, it's like, and this is where you went, and this is where you took a left and got me fucked up. Like, you seen those? Mine is always circles back to white supremacy. And like, here's the fucking agenda. It's not that complicated. Black men and black women can't get along. It's on the agenda, babe. Black family members and the young. It's on the fucking agenda. Read the Willie Lynch letter, please. If you do nothing, take 5 minutes to read the Willie Lynch letter. It'll blow your fucking mind. Anyway, all that being said, I have a fundamental issue with the same people, to not to circle back to the you want to be a civil rights warrior in a non-civil rights fucking issue, that failed to see how the white supremacist agenda landed us here. How we even got to the point where two black individuals in America, Tory Lanez and Megan, are having this debate, this argument, or whatever about what could have happened when it has nothing to do on a social level. It's a
Everything
crime.
to do with the fact that a stallion dated a 5'2" nigga. When are women going to know their worth? Okay, it should have been me.
First of all, I seen some girl said, "Stop calling niggas short kinks. Let the nigga know that he broke." Yeah, it's like, stop gassing niggas up. No, you are. Stop calling niggas medium ugly. You ugly.
How tall is he when he stands on his wallet?
That part. How tall is he? I don't know. Let me check his net worth, bitch. Like, you talking about nigga at the bar was like, you just like him because he's tall. I said, nigga, whoa, I'm 5'2". Everybody in here is an option. Like, not too much.
I think, to wrap up this whole conversation, the whole problem with trying to take blame away from the individuals who are the victimizers, both Tory Lanez and P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Love, whatever the fuck the nigga wants to call himself.
Puffy.
It takes away from a learning opportunity.
I think we should call him Pissy, realistically.
Because imagine
I'm gonna bring
at this point
no Puffy.
being so obsessed with black celebrity or black entertainers who are successful that instead of seeing this, letting it proceed in the court of law like it should, and then not taking it to say, if I ever get to the level of money that these individuals have, or level of success that these levels of individuals have, I'm not going to do it this way.
Wait,
I'm going to go the Jay-Z route. Did I just mumble?
You said devils. I was like, these devils.
Yeah. I'm going to go to the Jay-Z route. I'm going to go the LeBron James route. I'm going to go the Russell Wilson route. I'm going to go the route of plenty other black male entertainers who've not only done it quintessentially the right way. I'm going to go the Wiz Khalifa route. I'm even going to give you a nigga who has been prolific when it comes to the game of scoring pretty women and has not had any allegations, has not had any problems, has a beautiful child. What?
All that's all well and good. Reality is, stop making fucking entertainers your idols. Stop making shit that don't got nothing. Stop making
your idol.
Your idol.
Pick a better one.
Honestly,
don't even pick a better one. Just become the version that you think that person is for your own fucking self. You think that nigga is him? Become him. I saw a man that said something was like, when she likes me, but I'm not the man of my dreams yet. You never hear men talking about that as much as you hear women wanting to become the woman of your dreams or whatever. Shut up. Don't even say no toxic shit. I knew he was going to say some toxic shit. He's not fucking weird. You have the same goals. You just don't verbalize it in the same way. It doesn't matter. Don't get off the point. Stick with the point. The point being, whatever it is that you think.
Because they're not like focusing on that one girl when they say that. This is a nigga that's literally going, like, niggas who post that, what that means is like, I'm not where I'm at yet, so I can't go after that right girl. But I'm gonna still fuck these other bitches, in the meantime. I mean,
that's not what that necessarily means. And in that guy's particular instance,
got you. Okay.
No, I'm not saying it could mean that, but it's not what it necessarily means. You're
The dude
used
just
to the
posting
lifestyle
that at
that
4 a.m. on his
nigga,
fucking
shut the fuck up. No one told you it was at 4 a.m. No one told you it was on Instagram. No one
look
told
back
you
to the
anything besides what it said. You just being a toxic alpha male right now, and I'm gonna shut you the fuck down for that. You're not about to shit on a man that's working on himself just because you wouldn't do it or say it in the same way that he does. And just because you can't abstain from sex doesn't mean other men cannot. And
I have.
actually,
What are you
you have
talking
to
about?
because you're in a long distance relationship. So it shouldn't even be that confusing to you.
I don't really know
Oh, no,
where we
what?
got off on that. I was just simply
I
saying,
was just saying
from
that
a
he's a
male
pick me ass
perspective,
nigga.
if I see a
Cause
nigga post a motivational quote about
this is the
I
problem.
can't go
Y'all your
after
own
it
fucking
until I got
ops.
my
This is
bag right,
this is a
I'm looking at
perfect
that nigga like,
this right here is a perfect example of how you niggas y'all niggas are the ops. You don't let other men
nigga,
be vulnerable. You don't
you know
let
how to have
random
like
men be
Captain Stay in the
vulnerable.
Hole?
Y'all don't
Captain
let
Stay
your
himself in
friends.
the
Nah,
hole. Like, what is
you
happening?
can laugh all you want, but this is a perfect example how even intellectual men who are emotionally in tune can't let another man be vulnerable.
What the fuck? No one said don't cry, nigga. No, just say that Instagram caption was
You
cringe. Like,
no again, no one told you it was an Instagram caption. No one told you it was posted at 4 a.m. You don't even know anything about the guy.
no, what
And
I'm
you've now
saying is
gotten so far
that
from the
is an
point.
Instagram caption. You've heard that before, right, Isaiah? Like that's like an Instagram quote thing. I can't go after her until I'm at this
That
certain
wasn't
point.
even the quote. It said when she likes me, but I'm not the
No,
man
I've
of my
heard of
dreams
that
yet.
quote, but
That's what I'm saying. That's a fucking Instagram thing. It's on Instagram. Like
that's
that's
a
what I'm
poor
laughing at. Like
that's a
it's a
poor way
thing.
that's a poor way of thinking though. Like you should be
Okay,
always
hold up. We're not really talking about the way of thinking. I'm just saying like that quote is like one of those like
well to
uh,
give you my opinion, that's a poor way of thinking.
you're you just gotta lock in, or like what's
Yeah.
like find a fucking thousand of those types of motivational ass quotes. That's all I was saying.
Yeah.
But
No,
okay,
I get you. But hey, if a black man ever comes up on a lot of money, just this is my opinion, a lot of money, just a vast amount of wealth, your best bet is to stay quiet and move in silence and not say a word. That's
if
the
you
best
come
thing.
up with a lot of money, I suggest you go read a few different books.
That too.
Not only books that are gonna help you finesse the system or beat the system of capitalism, but some books that will teach you a bit about, especially if you're a black man. If you're not black, you have your own history you need to learn to figure out morally where you want to be in life. But I think as a black man, it would do you some good to start discovering what it is that is the existence of the black man in America, and that'll help you choose what you want to do morally. Like again, I think it should start with you, of course, then the family, and then outside the family, how do you want to with your community? You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of times black people with new money are so focused on just the straight capital piece of it, where it's more and more and more accumulation. And that is, I don't want to say incorrect or correct way of looking at it, but money is a tool. What are you using that tool for? If it's just pleasure, if it's just, my kids are going to be fine, like your kids are going to be fine if you leave them $1 million, let alone 50, 100 million.
And no matter how much money you leave them, if you don't teach them emotional intelligence, they're not going to be fine anyway.
And
Facts.
no matter how much money you leave them, if you don't help this country survive the next 10, 20, 30, 40, fucking 50 years, what does that look like for your children? What does it look like for the planet?
Okay, boom. On that note, remember one podcast we were talking about it? I said, okay, you have all these opinions. What are you doing about it? Remember this? And I was like, what is besides talking about it, like, what is your actionable thing that's not a literal question to you. But I hadn't brought it up. I was like, what are we doing outside of talking about it? And if we are talking about it, is it just with people who are like-minded, or are we talking about it to other people? Are we about to go run for local office? Are we about to organize? Like, what is it that we're actually doing? And I feel like, I mean, we're millennials, but we're young millennials, so I can't speak to the older millennials, but I don't actively see in my peer group of young millennials that many people doing anything measurable that is visible. I'm not saying that people aren't. And I think that maybe because we've had a pretty traumatic upbringing with there being several recessions and wars and whatever, a lot of people don't feel like they are where they want to be. And I think this concept of waiting for me to be good before I can do something for another person is very detrimental, because reality is the barometer is always going to move. You know what I mean? You're never going to feel like you have enough, but that's a you thing. It's a mindset thing. And so then if you never feel like you have enough, you're never going to feel like you can do something besides hustle and take your free time to play and do whatever. But the reality is, if we all did a little bit, you wouldn't have to feel like you have to wait until you can make a difference or an impact. But Jabari said it in a conversation we had yesterday. And I do think that this makes a huge difference. We are lacking a unified voice, whether that's a singular person or an entity that would ignite us enough to get into action. What I think is extremely confusing, but also like I try not to put too much on one person. I think it's really interesting how we criticize like celebrities and things like that when we don't hear them speak on something. And that's like whatever, like sure, criticize them. But what I think is more interesting is, regardless of what they spoke on it, do they actually do anything? Do they actually impact these? Like right now, we are most influenced by entertainers, athletes, musicians, influencers, and I can't say that anybody has been like, this is the movement, let's get on board. But it didn't take, I don't know, a single black person that missed the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. And I'm not saying we don't deserve moments of culture, moments of release, moments that are not related to being oppressed or marginalized. But I do think it is a disservice to sit here and act like just because you may be in a position where you're not being, or you don't feel or see that you're being directly impacted by the threat on our literal liberties, not just as black people, but especially as black people. Like, that's what really confuses me. And really, like, we talked about this too, Jabari, like in times like this, when there is no clear, at least in 2020 we were protesting. This year, niggas are just straight hitting bottles.
But
They're not even trying to, like, all of that like experience and stress is getting pent up and being released in ways that honestly, like, well, every now and again are cool, cathartic, but like for the most part don't serve us, and then by the end of it deplete us, and now we don't have any time or energy to actually do something. Like, we think we're like releasing, but you're depleting yourself. You're not actually refilling your cup. You know what does refill your cup? If you take a Saturday morning to go volunteer and pass out some things to people experiencing housing insecurity or food insecurity. You know what does help you? If you sign up to go be a poll worker, because elections happen all year round, every year. You know what does help you? If you have the ability, the skills, or the knowledge to run for local council. Like, those are the things that like actually are going to make measurable differences. And like the mantle is being passed to us in that younger millennial Gen Z kind of era. And I don't mean to like go become the president right now, but I do mean to start being the people that lead these grassroots level movements, and like be intentional about it. And some of the shit's not even that hard.
okay, so
Please, if
hold on,
you're someone who needs to be convinced not to go spend your money at Target, don't piss me the fuck off. Like, you're just lazy.
So,
Like,
no, so I feel like you hit on a lot of good topics there, and I don't want to get lost from the point that I was initially making on the individuals who do have money and what they should be probably be doing. I think this whole idea of capitalism, to the extent of how much is enough before I start actively like advocating for my money to start being put in other places, right? Like, should we even be able to accumulate enough wealth to be a billionaire? Because again, what I was originally saying was, you get to a point, I think, with some of these very influential entertainers who've made a lot of money, especially in the black space, who, when they are now confronted with the question of capitalism and ultra capitalism that they've managed to achieve, they will give you the answer of, well, it was my hard work, and I want to be able to leave my kids certain amounts of money. While I agree with them, and at this rate, I'm not here to punish the entertainer who's made $1 billion when we have the literal forces of evil through industry and corporations who have hundreds of billions of dollars. I think we do need to start having a deeper discussion, and I'm now only speaking for, again, black men, than the black population, about what this capitalism does to societies, and then in the microcosm, when it comes to black culture and the society of black culture, how can we maybe move differently? So when we do get individuals like a Jay-Z, like a Kevin Hart, like a LeBron James, I mean, at this point, we're reaching levels of mass black wealth when it comes to entertainers and athletes that if we wanted to build a Wakanda in some fucking portion of America, it's possible. Houses are going on sale all the time in Southside Richmond. When you do it through money, it's a lot harder to stop when you just do it through activism, especially when that activism has a black face. But that's what I wanted to just say on that piece. Now, on the piece that Donica is bringing up, which is very justified, I struggle with oftentimes the level of involvement that I have and my own feelings of inadequacy when it comes to resisting a literal fascist and authoritarian takeover of the country that I live in. It's one of the reasons why I am so vocal.
But you've been doing it though. Like, it's not now that you've been a vocal person. Like, as long as I've known you, which at this point has been over 10 years, and that's a considerable amount of time. When you've known better, you've done better. And I think that is like, that's what I'm looking for. And I don't care if you're fucking Beyonce or if you're Joe Schmo off the street. Like, I don't care if you ever went to school or have 12 degrees. That's not really the point. The point is, like, as we continue to be enlightened, as we continue to gain this knowledge, can we at least spread it? Like, you have come into contact with people who are your peers, whether by or younger than you, older than you, and you've never not made it a point to express at least what your opinions are. And even not to get someone to think what you think, but just to get them to think, period. And I think, like, that is all it really takes. Like, I was listening to this sermon, and it was talking about, like, when we talk about what it means to be a witness, and of course that's in a religious context, in a Christian context, but the word and meaning of a witness is just to tell someone what you saw, to literally regurgitate what your experience has been. And even if what you did was tell someone what your experience has been as a black man, that is you bearing witness, and that does impact people, and it does make a difference in the long run. And what I'm saying is, like, I think we need to make it a point to be as mindful about being a witness to what we're seeing, both in our personal lives, in the lives of our friends and family that we care about, and other people who are disenfranchised, that are beyond our reach, and, like, tell people. Because I think legitimately personal experiences and stories always make way more of an impact than whatever summarized think piece that the New York Times is about to send you. And that in and of itself, and maybe it's because we're exhausted, maybe it's because black trauma has been what it's been since way before the first Trump presidency and whatever, but I do think, again, Jabari encouraged this months ago, pre-election, was like, now is not the time for apathy. And I remember feeling pretty apathetic at that point in my life, because I had my own shit going on. But the reality is, regardless, this is the country we live in. We do have to take some pride and responsibility for it. And if we can't, then we are signing up not for just to continue experiencing what we're experiencing, but we're setting up any future generations for success. Don't let me hear that you want to have a family and I don't see you doing nothing to make this world and this country a better place. Because what do you want to have a family for?
So I think what Donica said about being a witness is brilliant. Can I get a witness? No, but to go or to move on, what I have quelched that hole or pit in my stomach that grows when I feel like I'm not doing enough. It is the easiest things that I can possibly do sometimes, right? I love that Boondocks quote or episode where Huey has been out there fighting against the forces of white nationalism all episode, and he's just beat down, eyes sunken, eyeshadow, all that shit. And he looks to Granddad and he goes, "Granddad, I'm at my wit's end. What is there to do when there's nothing else to do?" And Granddad puts his hand on the small of Huey's back and says, "What you can." And like that, I think about that scene so often because literally
It's not for the Boondocks.
it's literally been that way for the last 3 months. It's almost like, holy shit, the country that I knew, which I knew was fucked up, is about to have unimaginable change, right? And the people around me are apathetic to it. Literally had a conversation with a nurse the other day, and I just kind of brought up the $400 million Trump jet, and she basically was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know, Trump's getting a $400 million jet from Qatar. They're talking about it all over the news." And she literally said to me, "Yeah, you know, I just try to stay out of all that politics shit." In 2025. And it was a stark reminder, or it was an epiphany I had. I didn't even say it as a reminder, where this thought isn't new, but it was new to me. And it's, oh wow, maybe it's not the individuals who are on the front lines of the campaigns of hate and tyranny that are the worst victimizers.
It's the "this don't bother me" ass individuals.
It's the apathetic individuals who stand by and allow the worst among us to chart the course of any given country, but right now this specific country. And yeah, so that conversation took a long time, but since we're already in some serious shit, we should talk about what's been happening in our own country, specifically with our government. And it's been pretty racist. I'm going to be honest. We started the month with this wild story on the Twitter spaces of a white woman calling a 5-year-old black autistic child a nigger, and then posting a GoFundMe where she decried how now she and her family's lives are being victimized because, you know, there's racists out there against white people. And she raised $800 million to our president, who has now been on a war path against individuals seeking asylum or just immigrating for a variety of reasons from black and brown countries across the world, to letting in 59 white Afrikaners from South Africa. So again, if you don't understand what I'm saying there, it is the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, a man who has done many racially insensitive and just flat out deplorable acts throughout his tenure on this fucking planet we call Earth. I mean, this man falsely accused the Central Park Five of raping a woman, and when they were found to be innocent, he said, well, fuck it, they probably did something anyways, they should be in jail. You know, his businesses for years were frauding black consumers. When it came to loans, would refuse to operate with black consumers. He had renting bylaws that were racially motivated to defraud customers. All of that has been known for years now. On top of that, he is a convicted felon, civilly charged rape. Just villain, bro. This nigga's a villain. And now he's just gone completely mask off in the White House, man. So many fucking crazy things are happening, and I don't know, like, how have y'all been feeling about the government this month? Because I personally feel like shit has been happening at a lightning speed, but the things they're doing this month seem so blatantly wrong, i.e., the $400 million jet, and then also the crypto coin dinner. But the hubbub about it from everybody who opposes these actions hasn't been as loud. That's what I'm getting personally. It seems like niggas are already like exhausted.
I think it's just hard to keep up now that people are like you said, they're just exhausted of just hearing like the whole scandal, or just like the whole thing with Bitcoin, Trump.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine any other president. Fuck Barack Obama. Not fuck Barack
Oh,
Obama.
if it was Barack Obama,
Imagine if this was George W. Bush.
oh, they would be all up in that ass. No puffy.
I accepted a $400 million jet from Qatar.
Questions. So many questions.
A country that's a part of the United Arab Emirates.
Yup.
America. After we just had the entire 9/11 situation.
Dog, and you know what I find crazy about the whole thing?
Nigga, look at you right now. They wouldn't let you through TSA with that shit on your head.
Hell no, bro. I look like a saint. No, let me not say that.
Like a sultan. Look like you could be in the Aladdin.
I know. I'm dead. Nah, but like what throws me off is that I want to say like a few months ago, didn't Trump say that he would make deals with Qatar or any Middle Eastern country and then kind of like reneged on the
I
word?
don't fucking know. What he has been doing is a continued
I want to say that he did. I want to say he did. I have the video. Let me see if I can find the video while you keep on going.
Yeah, man. I don't really know what deals he said he was going to do or would not do with United Arab Emirates aligned countries, but he has been reneging on every, I wouldn't even say deal with a foreign country, because I am of the belief that of the deals that he's made, which I think he's only officially announced like two, I think one with the UK, and then he had talks with India, he had talks with Japan, he had talks with Canada, but I don't think anybody has had an official like proposal that they've released other than the UK. I know he just put a 50% tariff on the EU, but to my knowledge, anytime he has spoken about deals, he's always reneged on what he has spoken about. And it doesn't matter what country it is. It could be the United Arab Emirates, it could be Israel, it could be fucking Ukraine and Russia, it could be Japan, it could be China, it could be Canada. He has not been consistent on anything he said.
Facts. But like you get what like some people say like that there's a double standard to this, and then like people get like really mad whenever like you do talk to like, and I'm not defending Trump or anything like that, but I'm just saying like if it was another president that was to do this, or like was to do something that Trump is doing, like there would be so many issues to that, and it would be.
Well, the reason why I say it's so blatant this month is that we've known about the emoluments clause since his first term. People had a lot of hysteria, and I think it was justified, so I probably wouldn't even call it hysteria, but people had a lot to say about the fact that he was unwilling to divest from his companies and give up his tax returns. Like, that was the whole emoluments thing. Like, no president is supposed to have the ability to accept gifts from not just foreign governments but private citizens. Not annulment. How you spell emoluments?
A-M-A.
Pause. I got it.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's basically a provision in the U.S. Constitution designed to prevent conflicts of interest and foreign influence on government officials, man. It prevents federal officials from accepting gifts, emoluments, offices, or titles from foreign governments without the consent of Congress. So it's like straight in the face of that. And on top of the fact that you can't accept gifts without the consent of Congress. Congress didn't consent to him receiving this jet. He also has tried to finagle this announcement in the way that he would keep the jet like privately after he leaves office. They're going to donate it to the library, to the Trump library, which I didn't even know was a fucking thing. But apparently the only other thing that's in that fucking library is some other piece of frivolous commodity. So it's wrong all around. Like the argument, what they're even delineating it as, and all I'm saying is, bro, it's so fucking blatant. It's not like this jet was $2 million. It's $500 million that they're just giving the president. On top of that, he just had a dinner where people that,
mind you, the nigga don't need the fucking money to get a jet.
people that
He don't even need a jet
You don't
at all.
at all. Period.
The literal planet is dying. Qatar, are you guys okay? Come to the fucking front.
no, but
Now you've been moved to the bottom of my list of countries to go to because you just can't read the fucking
well,
room.
I'm gonna keep it a man. It's one of the reasons why, when we went to Dubai, I said I don't know how I feel about going to these countries. All these countries employ slave labor and do crazy shit. But I digress. Back to our fucking crazy ass country.
I don't know about slave labor.
Basically, it's slave labor.
It's not basically slave labor if you get paid. It's maybe you could say indentured servitude
You're
at
not allowed
best.
to leave the country. It's slave fucking labor. And again, it's not
Who's not allowed to leave
They
the
can leave-
country?
like 80% of their workforce. You should look it up, man. It's crazy. Yes, I'm not lying.
They can't leave the
They
country
took their
because of what?
They cannot leave the country. And it's the people that were outside. It's not the people who are working inside the fucking hotel. It's the people that were outside, that were on the fucking roads, that were doing the fucking hard labor of the country. A lot of these people are basically migrant slaves. They were brought to the UAE. There are various countries in the UAE, but one of them, Dubai specifically. But they were brought there, and they were like, "Hey, you can work, make this money, send it home to your family." They're like, cool. They get there, the money is not what they promised. They take their passports, and then also they're unallowed to leave because they accrue debts in the United Arab Emirates, and it's a crazy level of like it's basically slavery. It's basically slavery. It's not chattel slavery, but it's slavery. But I digress. I want to talk about the fascist president we have, who clearly doesn't give a fuck about human rights issues anywhere in the world, whether it be the genocide in Gaza or it be the human rights problems in the UAE. This nigga's accepting a $400 million jet, and then he had a dinner for his own crypto coin called World Liberty, or called Trump Coin, that's hosted on World Liberty Financial, which is a cryptocurrency ETF website or Coinbase that his family has a holding stake in, that makes money not just off of the coins that are on the app, but every time a transaction happens on the app, they make money. He had a private dinner for that where he used the presidential seal, and you had individuals from different countries come and donate money to that shit.
That's wild.
Bro, he did this all last week. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, people are so apathetic, and it's insane because at the same time, they are destroying the economy. People do not understand what it means when they say, yo, the United States, the dollar will no longer be the world reserve currency. Yo, countries that were normal trade partners with America are now forming production chains that do not involve the United States of America. Bro!
Because they said, nigga, wait a minute. These people don't even provide us no shit.
Huh?
Let's just get rid of
The
them.
House of Representatives
Let's
just
just take it
passed
out.
a reconciliatory budget bill that's going to cut $700 billion from Medicaid while giving over $10 trillion of tax cuts over the next 10 years to the top 1%. They are saying, fuck this country, fuck you, starve, die. And at the same time, I'm gonna get rich. I'm gonna go get a fucking jet. I'm going to continue to probably
Monopolize
everything, but victimize people, because you better make sure you don't release those Epstein files. You had two individuals on the right? Kash Patel and that other bald freak who's in the DOJ for years talk about, oh, the Epstein files, and Bill Clinton's on there, just for when they get into the office after not releasing the files. It was even more redacted files than the original ones they released 10 years ago. Said there's nothing there. You best believe, after working in Homeland Security, after working as a criminal prosecutor, I've seen suicides. It was a suicide. No, it's because the President of the United States is not only a fascist, he's most likely, allegedly, no, actually not allegedly, because he was civilly convicted, a rapist. Bro, what the fuck are we doing?
Can we talk about how a convicted felon is how the fuck is a convicted felon the president to begin with? I'm trying to figure out how niggas came and rushed the Capitol on a random fucking, what was that, a Monday? Like, a random Monday, and we just out here sitting, letting the fascist dictator just
Because people want to see blood and shit.
Again.
Because what?
People just want to see blood and shit. They don't give a fuck.
Again, how do you guys feel, though, about the response from the general public? How has any of your friends, coworkers,
people held on for 90 days, and after 90 days they said, oh, this shit too fucking much. And look, and not to be funny, it started getting nice outside. Nigga said, hold on, I forgot what'd you say? It's outside degrees right now. I don't care. When we was cold, it was winter time, we was inside, we have nothing else to do but keep up with this nigga. The sun came out, nigga said, I'm gonna take off my brain and put on my tequila hat, and that's what niggas is doing.
You want to know
Real
how
talk.
Diddy got away with what he did for so long?
Everyone deciding that it wasn't their problem.
Everybody who was in the room, everybody who was benefiting in some way, shape, or form from the system that played, literally just said, you know what?
We gonna let that nigga get a pass.
Somebody else is gonna handle that.
We gonna get a pass.
Somebody else will take care of this. This is crazy. I don't even gotta do nothing. It's gonna crumple in on itself. And that's what I feel like is happening right now in the country. Because if we cannot get everyday citizens to pay attention, when the fucking president is accepting a $400 million jet from a country that this same country tried to lump in with a religion that apparently is the fucking evil of the fucking world. Like, bro,
shit, I
don't get it. I've lost my marbles, bro. This nigga is going to accept the jet. He's going to continue to accept donations of millions of dollars to this crypto coin. Really? And I don't know if the powers that are currently in office are going to do anything about it. We need a revolution, okay? The only two options that are available to us right now is that we're going to slide completely into a tyrannical government, because as people start to face the effects of all of what we just spoke about happening, and you can't even go outside anymore because businesses are shutting down, because importing liquor and importing shisha is damn near...
Hey. Not too much on the shisha. I will go back.
You can't afford an outfit because Shein is incredibly expensive.
Wait, no, actually, I'm glad you said that, because I don't shop at Shein. Let me not make a funny comment I was going to make. But anyway, I don't shop there. But my homegirl did tell me today that apparently they're already starting to see it. Like, when you go, the price is still the price. When you go to check out, you're seeing all of these added numbers. But let's also not forget, I mean, I'm going to speak to the DMV because that's where I live. A lot of y'all niggas are employed by the government or employed by the private sector that is contracted by the government. Not too much, because we're all, one missed paycheck from a hard time. So, like,
and guess what? Now... You thought I was gonna make up for it by eating at home? The shelves are empty. And what little food's up there, you can't afford because you got laid off. And not only did you get laid off, but there are no more good Samaritan civil workers in the offices to help make sure that you get some type of aid while you're trying to find a new job. They just cut Medicaid, so now you can't even get health insurance. They just cut SNAP, so you can't get food stamps. Bro, we are headed down a path where there's
So now not only are you unemployed, but you're unemployed and
you're
there's no
unemployed, you're
backup
hungry, your parents are
support.
sick, and you have nowhere to go. Now you're gonna get a fucking Cheeto-faced fascist victimizer saying, well, we're going to give everybody a ration of $600 to make sure we can get through these tough times, okay? But we just need you to remain calm. Remain calm. Stay out the streets. There's no...
This is
And
America.
I will say this too, because if you're in the streets, we're gonna get you. We're gonna release the F-22s to come down and bomb anybody in the streets. There's only two options that are going to have to be left to us if we keep.
Guys, do you remember when we were in a global pandemic and like
There's
people?
gonna be a whole
Wait,
bunch
this
of
is- wait, wait,
there's gonna be a whole
wait.
bunch of crime if that ever happens.
Tyranny,
A whole bunch
a
of crime.
tyrannical government, or revolution. It does not have to be this way. We're talking about cutting $700 billion from Medicaid, and you have individuals in the Republican Party who are saying, I will not pass this bill. Not because they're cutting it, because it's not enough. Because we can do the tax cuts, we can cut Medicaid, but how are we going to allow the deficit to get that high? Meanwhile, if they just didn't cut taxes and increase taxes, we could even provide more for citizens through Medicaid and Medicare and still reduce the deficit. It's math. But no, with the
Hey, do you remember when we were in a global pandemic and all the healthcare workers were like overly burnt out, and in response, the president got a whole bunch of flights to fly by and write "Thank you, healthcare heroes," and that cost like $500,000. Meanwhile, not a single person who was staff and not travel got a raise, a pay bump, or shit, even a little thank you. You maybe got a pizza party from Domino's if you was lucky.
Okay, yes. Getting really serious though right now, because we've been a little doomsday, but for real, seriously, I'm telling you guys,
How was that?
you're listening now, you're scared, you're saying, what the fuck do we do? What happens? Blah 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 blah. But your two options, again, from somebody who's just reading a little bit here and there, it's going to be either you revolt or you succumb to tyranny. Trump right now is going full throttle into authoritarian tyrannism. All right. He is coalescing resources for himself. He is deliberately or unwittingly destroying the current system of economy that Americans have gotten used to. Right. He is laying off all avenues of American working class to be able to get access to benefits when times hit rock bottom. And at the same time, he's beefing up the military, and he is coalescing power of the courts into the executive branch. We need to go over a few things that this budget delineates, because I don't want you guys to be overwhelmed by, oh, it's a 1,500-page bill. I'm not going to read all that. Look, New York Times did some good work, at least for once, to do this to us. So let's read through some of the shit that this budget is doing, okay? And I fucking, y'all need to be following the podcast page if you're not. I'm doing better work on the pod page by breaking down some of these topics throughout the month so you can stay informed, you know. We're not as good as Jon Stewart, but we're something.
To answer your initial question, the last month, what was that, May? I've definitely been checked out.
All right.
Had all types of life things going on. So I know I personally haven't kept up, but I also, that's because I haven't had the capacity to. But I do think that there's like, it's fatiguing.
Yeah.
It's constant. What's that? What's that type of fatigue called? Trauma? Trauma fatigue? I don't know. Either way, it just be like
Okay, so getting into this budget real quick.
a level of ridiculousness that it's like, okay, you can break all these things down, but to our earlier point, what are people actually doing, and what are the next steps
Yes.
for the average
So again,
person?
this budget, House Republicans will reduce spending on food aid, which is known as the Supplemental Nutrition and Assistance Program (SNAP), by about 267 billion over 10 years. They're now going to add work requirements for Medicaid. Now, don't get confused by the wording. They're saying a focal point of the package is nearly 700 billion in reduced spending in the Medicaid program. So some of you are like, okay, what the fuck does that have to do with work requirements? Basically, when Republicans are talking about work requirements, that is their goal, to cut 700 billion people or $700 billion out of the Medicaid program. They're not going to be able to do that by work requirements alone, because a large majority of people who get Medicaid benefits work. They just don't work a job that offers health insurance, or they don't work enough hours, quote unquote, to be qualified for health insurance to their job because of other life situations they could be going through. Again, if you want to be like, well, why don't they just work a job? Not too much on that. Let's see if you have a job here in a year. Moving on. A preliminary.
I think that's actually the craziest part, is people not realizing the actual barriers to finding a job. Like, whether you're degreed or not, like, it's not, oh, why don't you just go get a job? Like, I applied for a hostessing job that I am supremely overqualified for. Called them several times. They told me they had an immediate need. Called them, followed up several times. Never heard from them. Like, it's not all fun and games. And then once people do get in a job, how many people actually make enough money from their one job to support not even a lifestyle, to support life?
But I'll just drive Uber.
Do you have a car?
Do you have a good driving license or good driving history? Because listen, niggas, they not gonna let you drive. I know that for a fact.
Nigga, I ain't gonna hold you. I was in the hood delivering the other day. These niggas were renting Capital bike share bikes, heavy ass electric bikes, and using it to deliver food. I said, damn. My brother and I were on the phone. I said, listen, we may have to get it out the mud, but nigga, I ain't never had to go to Capital Bike Share, rent a bike to use it to then deliver food, not rent a bike to drive to get to the job and work
I would
there.
say, but those individuals, if they aren't locked in for other reasons. They're the individuals that we're saying are too exhausted by the system, that they are apathetic through exhaustion. And I would say to them, hey brothers, no, now is the time. We're revolting. We need you. But back to the budget. And again,
No, it wasn't about what they could do. I was just
these
saying,
cuts.
like, I think sometimes people forget just how much people are doing to try to live.
What I'm saying though is, what I'm saying is not those people. Is that the people that we're talking about that would be talking like this because they've reached some level of success? Those people never. A lot of those types of people didn't ever have to get it out the mud like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
or had to do it when it was like acceptable, like you're young,
that's what I'm
you're in
saying.
college,
So
or
you
whatever.
never got that. That's not getting out the mud, nigga. You're working a fucking gig work job in college. It's not getting out the mud. Now you doing it in high school because that was the only way that you were going to get food on the table is getting it out the mud. What I'm saying is there is a problem with classism, is even now at this point with black people, where you didn't forget where you came from. You're ignoring where you came from, or you just don't know because you've gotten so far out of the communal aspect of family that you don't go to the cookout and meet your cousins who are still, subjectively speaking, from the hood, right? But again, back to the budget. Those cuts, the 700 billion work requirement cut from Medicaid, it's estimated that 8.6 million people will lose health care. That's a lot of fucking people, bro. On top of that, if you're not worried about your health care, they're going to be revamping the student loan program, which provides which is basically going to amount to $330 billion in cuts that would basically look at them replacing the existing student loan payment program with 2 standard options, one with monthly payments spread out over 10 to 25 years, and a repayment system plan that is generally less generous than those it would replace. So earlier on, when we were talking about your student loans, Isaiah, and the SAVE plan, they are actively looking to get fucking rid of that. Now, how the fuck do you do that when you sign the contract? I don't know, but guess who doesn't give a fuck right now? The fucking Trump DOJ, the one who again is currently trying to prosecute a sitting U.S. representative in Congress for doing
The one who let him become the fucking president in the first place. This nigga. I don't know what niggas thought when he became president the first time. That nigga was not playing checkers with y'all.
Now, remember, guys,
Niggas
that
thought
was
they
the
were
cuts.
gonna get a check. That's what they thought about. They thought
That
about
was the cuts. Let's talk about how this budget bill is going to save us on our taxes. Good news, the estate tax. I don't know how many of you guys have estates. The amount of money you can just leave to your kids rises to $15 million and is adjusted for inflation
yay.
going forward. So it's not even going to stay there. It's going to keep raising.
That's stupid.
We're also going to provide $46.5 billion to revive the construction of Trump's U.S.-Mexico border wall. And more money for the deportation agenda.
Did you paste it into GPT and ask it to summarize it for you?
No, this is from NPR. You can just Google, here's what's in the GOP mega bill that just passed.
Oh, and he's okay.
Yeah, no, listen. I do a little bit more research than just an initial chat GPT query. I go read the article.
No, I was asking if you took the document and had ChatGPT summarize it for you. I would not ask ChatGPT current political climate questions because all it's going to do is pull from Google, and that's fine. But I'm saying if you find a NPR, other like an actual, like, for example, if you want to be dumb and not actually follow what's going on in the cases that are active and being talked about right now, case documents are public information. You can go look it up. You can read a transcript of court, of trial. But anyway, wait, let me make my point. What I was trying to say was, for anybody who feels like, oh, I'm coming across these resources and I can't like read it, can't synthesize it, whatever it may be, that's a good thing to use ChatGPT for. Like, I don't have time to read a 15-page document because I got other 15-page documents I have to read. But if I want to be informed and know, that's a free and easy way to just copy paste,
or you can get
summarize
bits and pieces
this
off of ChatGPT or like.
Wait, pause. Hey, wait, pause. Before y'all get into the ChatGPT piece, that is true for court documents. So for the Meg Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez shit, for Puff Daddy shit, for sure. If you want to go read the court documents, cool. Some court documents are like 40, 50 pages.
It also applies to proposed bills and agendas.
I'm getting there. It's funny because people like to shit on DJ Academics, but that's one of the things that he does when it comes to some of these more rapper killing situations. For this situation specifically, it's kind of a big ask for an unelected person to read the entire 1,500 pages of tax documentation this was. But this NPR article is like 6 pages. So like it's not that difficult of a read in my opinion. And personally,
no, but most people read below an 8th grade reading level and don't have more than 22 seconds of attention.
Bullshit for your health. We are breaking it down for y'all. But no, this is all straight from the MP.
We're gonna break it down for you, but you're gonna have to get to hour 2 minute 47.
Well, if we keep fucking stopping, yeah. But no, there's only a few more major points that I wanted to break down on this. Because one of the other things is again. So now this bill is cut. This specific reconciliation bill is damn near cutting all of Medicaid, cutting Medicare. It is giving trillions of dollars, making the $1 trillion tax cuts that Trump put in his first term, that yes, Biden continued, but now is going to make them permanent. They were supposed to cut off, but then on top of that, they're going to give an increase to the estate tax exemption. They're also going to add billions of dollars to the border wall, but also this plan, they said in the budget bill, they delineate their plan is to remove 1 million immigrants annually and house 100,000 people in detention centers. They are outlining in their fucking budget bill their authoritarian fascist agenda to black mask people and keep deporting them or disappearing them from the country. They are not concerned like we right now live in a system where people are so dejected from politics. They believe we live in a both sides are bad situation. And what I need people to wake up to is we are not in a both sides are bad. We are literally in one side is flawed and one side is evil, because there is nothing on the Republican side, and I can say this for a fact because this budget bill is exemplary of that. There is nothing on the Republican side that is good for working class Americans. The Republicans who are arguing against this bill we're reading to you are arguing against it because it doesn't cut enough from Medicaid, Medicare. It doesn't cut enough from social service systems to reduce the deficit. They want to keep the tax cuts. Go watch Rand Paul talk about this bill. I'm going to fucking put it on the goddamn Instagram page. This nigga's like, I cannot vote for this bill in the way that it currently is formed, because what is it going to do to the deficit? How are we supposed to go to election year and talk about all the good things we did, like the tax cuts? I'm here for the tax cuts, but if we continue to allow some of these services to go through, we're not going to be able to reduce the overall deficit. Basically saying, fuck the people, fuck you losing your health care. How am I going to explain to my donors that I didn't cut the deficit? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like not a single neuron in his brain formulates to the idea that, hey, how about you don't cut services from the hardest working and most victimized populations in our country, and instead the fat cats like Elon Musk, who have $250 billion, who spent $257 million on this election. How about we take some of that and redistribute it? Somebody said recently, and I love this, they said,
How about we make it fucking illegal to donate money to fucking campaigns in general?
repeal Glass-Steagall.
Act like we
I'm
give a
making
fuck about
shirts right now. Repeal Glass-Steagall. But listen.
What? What does that mean?
So, not Glass-Steagall. Repeal Citizens United. It was a Supreme Court decision that allowed the unlimited contribution of money from unions and corporations to give for political campaigns. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, somebody said recently, the purpose of government is to redistribute money. It's always redistributing money. Some of you might be like, what? It's never given me money. Yeah, because it has taken money from you in the style of taxes and given it to the upper 1% through various tax policy. What we should be doing and looking for is a government that doesn't work for those people, but it works for us and redistributes that money towards the working class. Because best believe, if the money isn't being redistributed to you, it's being redistributed away from you. The services that have been used in this country to develop society, roads, schools, hospitals, all that shit is paid through tax dollars. That $700 billion cut to Medicaid, it's reported to lead to thousands of rural hospitals closing, because the majority of the money that these hospitals receive is through Medicaid and Medicare. Again, man, we are not living in a system that is bad on both sides. We are living in a system that is clearly, one is fucking evil and one is flawed. The flaw of the side that I belong to, the Democrats, is that same money piece. That same piece that is currently having the government that we vote for, we're saying is supposed to be working for us, working for corporations, bro. It's that simple when you break it down. But again, lastly, and this is where I'm telling you that we are facing tyranny or revolution. Those are our two options. This budget is going to give $150 billion in new money to the Defense Department. Supposedly $25 billion is for Trump's Golden Dome, a missile program that's supposed to defend America, like the Silver Dome, whatever dome defends Israel or whatever. $21 billion to restock the nation's ammunition arsenal. 34 billion to expand the naval fleet with more shipbuilding, and 5 billion for border security. But I got a feeling that border security is not going to be used to face people that are trying to get in, because I don't know if you've heard, but immigration is down, tourism is down. At this point, it's going to be looking pretty iffy if we're
Expatriation is up.
the World Cup. Yeah, because Spain doesn't have a authoritarian leader.
Fascist ruler.
Hey, yeah, no, but I forget where I was landing the overall point when it comes to the budget, but specifically saying
The point is, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
True.
That's why they say that, right? Like if you're not there to defend whatever it is program and what have you, there's a chance that that program no longer exists. And even if you're not utilizing the program right now, even if you don't have a friend, a family member, or just know somebody who's utilizing it, like back to our back to our initial, there is a mute button. Back to our initial, damn nigga, no, I got ADHD trying to distract me.
oh wait,
uh but to our initial point, it's like we have, in my opinion, it was never the right idea to think that you were above or so far removed from being oppressed by the things that impact the average person. Like you are one paycheck away from the average person. Like I don't know that many people who have a net worth or investment sizable or considerable enough for you to just be out of work and be fine. Like that's not a reality for most people.
and that's
And to that
yeah.
point, back to apathy is not acceptable. Like said it before, there's a million lanes, even during COVID, during 2020, during the George
Alright,
Floyd murder and all of that. Like you have multiple lanes. You don't, if you're not the person who's going to go out and protest, okay. If you're not the person who's going to run for council, okay. But there's something you can do. There's somewhere where you can push back. And if you think, oh, well, I don't want to push, do, maybe donate something, your time, your energy. Like it's not always money, you know what I mean? Like, and I think a lot of times, I mean, we all work in like service work, right? Like healthcare, social services, whatever it may be. We already are essential workers. Like we already are making an impact just by the career we chose to go into. But a lot of people work either directly or indirectly for government subsidiaries. And the fact that, like, if you haven't already felt it, I've had one person that I know personally get laid off already, and another who's concerned about being laid off. Actually, several that are concerned about being laid off or losing a project or what have you. So it's like it it shouldn't get to the point where you lose your job. You know what I mean? It shouldn't get to that point where you only care because now you don't got it. But you've been known. Have they? How is that impacting like what you're able to do? Haloperidol, yeah.
Is this due to tariffs? Oh, from the federal government. Got you. Yeah, yeah. I was gonna bring that up. I was gonna say y'all got some elections coming up. I don't know if y'all been paying attention. Look at my boy. Look at my boy getting electrified.
No, honestly, the lieutenant governor joint is really the one to watch in Virginia, because I don't know if is she the incumbent, the black woman, but she would pick me. 1 second, let me find her name.
I can find
There's a
it.
black Republican.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, bro. Like, unfortunately, prior to the Trump administration doing everything within its power to remove government from people's lives, I don't think people understood how intertwined government was with their lives. It's like Donica said, a lot of people are going to get laid off, not necessarily just because they're directly involved with the government, but that their job has funding from the government. A lot of people don't understand where that funding comes from.
Or subsidized, yeah,
Subsidized some
or contracts with the government.
what services healthcare wise are in their area. Like, again, I was telling you, they are forecasting hundreds of rural hospitals having to shut down because they don't live in large metropolitan cities, and they can't, and so they don't have a lot of people who have private insurance, or the ability to pay out of pocket for crazy services. Like, surgery is not inexpensive.
Cheap.
Okay.
I mean, literally, not even you don't. And let's bring it to the level of, like, if you think surgery and you think open heart, like, surgery includes getting like an abscess drained. Like, that's considered a surgical procedure. Like, those are not cheap things. Like, you can't just go into like, most of the time if you go into the urgent care or wherever you get a service done, like, it's usually more money than the average person can pay for right then and there out of pocket. And if you don't have insurance, realistically, I mean, you don't have to pay it, but it's just going to get sent to collections with everything else. But something Devontae was saying earlier, and I think, like, we have to be mindful of, is that it doesn't even take the government actively cutting the funding for businesses to respond and preemptively start doing things that protect their capital and their bottom line, right? Businesses starting to let go of people. Like, I don't know if you guys are hip to this, but Microsoft and Google started doing layoffs the year Trump was running for president. They said, hold on, we're cutting our workforce down right now because we already know what the agenda is and the direction that things are going. And even with what we've seen in the increased return to work, like, if you're not understanding why are they forcing all of these work from home people to go back to work, it's very simple. Companies rent office buildings, which is a huge cost, but it therefore means a tax write-off. If they no longer make employees go into work, they no longer can justify the cost of having an office building. Taxable tax write-offs only count for things that are like a justified expense. So now one of the things we're seeing is people forcing employees to go back into work, not because we can show that it's changing productivity or affecting their bottom line, but we see that, in order for them to keep the tax cuts that they've been experiencing, they've got to be able to say, okay, yeah, we made whatever amount of money, but then we also spent $1 million on rent because we have this high-rise building in Arlington, New York, or DC, and that's how we're using it to cut down what are our taxable expenses as a company. So there's layers and levels to how and where the game is being played.
Look, Again, we've run the conversation into the ground of the two villains that we keep running back to at the end of all these stories. White nationalism, number one, but again, in reality, it's probably capitalism, number one, white nationalism, number two. But either way, what Donna...
No. It's white supremacy number one, which
Well,
is
well,
what's
well,
first.
one would say, what is the benefit? What is the benefit? What is the benefit of white nationalism if it's not to acquire more capital by taking out a proportion of the society based off of illegitimate reasoning based off of skin color, right? That's what I would say. I would say that white nationalism is the fuel that capitalism needs for its car to drive, because one of the easiest ways to pacify the working class, to tell the working class that they're at least better than this subjugated group of people. But I digress. I think right now, in the conversation that Donica was bringing up with capitalism, I think everybody who hasn't been tuned in is starting to realize is like, for the majority of Americans' lives, they've lived with this idea of, capitalism might not have worked out for me so far, but when I do make it, I'll be living the good life. And those same people haven't focused enough on the equal and opposite answer of, but what happens if you don't make it? Like, American hustle culture has delineated people to obsess over this idea of, bro, like, once I hit that proverbial lottery, whether it's my professional career, whether it's through, getting lucky on the stock market, whether it's through getting lucky with Bitcoin, or getting lucky with, what was that shit that happened right after Bitcoin that's completely gone now? You would buy a picture and NFT.com.
They're not gone. They've just been repurposed.
I could become a rapper, and I could sell 1 million copies. You know what I'm saying? I could blow up on TikTok. All of this is in the pursuit of the idea of, I just got to keep working hard at this one specific thing, and then I could get lucky and I'm good. But nobody has focused on the answer of, but what happens if that never happens? Should that delineate me to a life of not being quintessentially satisfied? You know what I'm saying? Because again, too... You said what? People... Well, you're breaking up. I can't hear you. I can't. Can you hear him, Isaiah?
No, I can't. I can't hear you, dog. I think there's a delay.
Yeah, I think it's your internet.
Yeah, there's a delay. A little delay.
Yeah, I know. I can hear you better now. Keep talking. No, I agree. So I agree. And what we're specifically talking on right now is solutions to that, because what I'm saying is, and my prediction is just that. It's two options: tyranny or revolution. Tyranny doesn't happen because people want it to happen. It happens because you have a certain group of population that wants it to happen, and then a larger group of the population being apathetic to that larger or that smaller group of people putting or influencing what their will is on the greater group of people, because you have a bunch of people who are too hungry, too tired, too overworked to fight back, and then a group of people who have their basic necessities met and are apathetic to making a change or fighting for a change or fighting for revolution, which is hard. And the solution, I think, to everything we're talking about is relinquishing that apathy if you do have your needs met. And then if you don't have your needs met, when those people are looking for a way, when those individuals are screaming out, for help, that comes from those of us who have relinquished our apathy to reaching back and not only shining away, like shining an answer. So when a person does giving up on government, it is combating that thought and saying, brother, I feel you. I feel your pain. I am also like you. I am not like us. I am with us. I have cousins who are in the same predicament as you. I have lived in the communities you've lived in. I've worked in those communities. Government could be doing better. Right now, the government is currently voting to not give you health care in exchange to give this fucking billionaire tax cuts. And this side of the party, the Republican Party, all of them agree with it or want it to go further. This Democrat Party, here's the certain Democrats that don't want that to happen, right? Bernie Sanders and AOC. But unfortunately, here's the Democrats who are either apathetic to that happening or want it to happen. We have a say in that. Next election, we can do that. Right now, what we have to be doing is, like Donica said, it's going further. It's actually getting boots on the ground, not just protesting, but hey man, have you volunteered with your community?
And not just the line dance, you fools.
And handed out meals? Have you, okay, you don't have the capital, but you have the manpower, you have the hands and feet, and you clearly have the weekend that's free. It's coming to all of that. It's requiring us all to kind of dig deep and see what we can do, because as of right now, I don't personally feel like I'm doing enough. And if I can't even look around and have a conversation with everybody I work with, or everybody I walk down the street with, or everybody that I'm at the skate park with, or at the gym with, on just some chill shit like, hey, what's happening in the government is crazy, and not know that 100% of the people are going to at least interact with me because they know what's going on, but I have this understanding that 50% of the people are going to be like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. But then 25% of those 50 might be like, but crazy shit has to get done for progress to be made. And then another 50 people I'm going to get, yeah, bro, I just don't really pay attention to that shit. I got a lot going on.
To that politics shit. I'll be honest, when I was younger, I was one of those people.
Yeah, but
it was also...
But that's the thing.
We're not young anymore.
That's the beautiful
you don't know enough when you're young.
You were younger. That was your innocence. That was your right. But what's so fucking infuriating to me is that older people have lost that, but you know who hasn't lost it? It's young people. The people who shouldn't need to be on the front lines. The people who shouldn't need to risk their futures by protesting on campus.
Who shouldn't set themselves on fire to prove a point.
They're doing it, and I feel so impassioned and empowered. And I think back to us on JMU's campus and how, dude, we were marching for the Black Lives Matter movement. You know what I'm saying? We were doing things. So what I'm saying is just I don't know what that looks like for every individual person, and I don't proclaim to sit here on my high horse and say that I know what's right for every one person to do to get active and get involved. But what I'm saying is, I feel like I'm not doing enough, and I'm doing, from what other people say, a little too much when it comes to rhetoric at times. So
who said that?
And again, through my understanding and learning, I know that we as human beings, we're not that different. So I know that there's a million, a billion, probably a trillion people out there who feel the same way. But now, just in the cornerstone of America, I know there's other black men who feel the same way. I know there's other black people who feel the same way, and I know there's other Americans who feel the same way. And what I'm telling you guys to do is just try to do a little bit more.
And the foreign community, black, white, or otherwise, feel that same way.
Your community has a Mahmoud Khalil. Your community has a Miss Ozturk. She just got released from jail. Woo-hoo. Your community has a representative. At some level of form, your community most likely has a representative like LaMonica McIver. AOC was a bartender in New York before she went and became one of the most progressive members of our Congress. I feel like we can all do a little bit more.
I think it's like, Nike will tell you to just do it. I'm gonna tell you to just do something. Like, just do something. It's not that complicated. Like,
Future taking the
again,
money
bear
down there,
witness.
but he is
If
not
all
your
you can do
savior.
is no, he's not. Nobody is your savior. Nobody's coming to save you.
Cole told me to think
Period.
about
Full
it, but
stop.
he is not your savior.
Like, you cannot gym, hustle, and ignore your way through this presidency or the
Kendrick
direction that this
Lamar
country is
killed
heading in.
Drake on the world stage, but he is not your savior.
It's not. It's not. It won't be. It can't be. Not by himself. And even if it wasn't by himself, it's not his mission.
He could be.
But I think earlier
But until he
we were
is,
talking about.
don't put him in a space that he doesn't know how to be yet.
I don't care what space he's in. He'll never be your savior. He might could be a leader,
Oh,
but he ain't my savior.
Okay, go ahead. All right.
I'm gonna tell Drake you said that.
Don't be like that.
I'm gonna tell Drake. Call him anyway. But not the point. But earlier I was talking about the lieutenant governor, and I thought this has been interesting to me because I attend a historically black church that has been around for over 200 years, like literally 220 something years old. And
Oh my God.
we often.
John Reed, a former
You gonna let me say this?
and then we don't have a Democratic nominee yet. Wait, what? Keep going up.
Are you gonna? Okay. I don't think you will let me. But the current lieutenant governor, obviously, like Devontae mentioned earlier, we currently do. Virginia's currently red. Our governor is Republican, and therefore our lieutenant governor and everybody else is also Republican. And the current incumbent Republican lieutenant governor is a black woman named like Winsome Earl Sears or something like that. She's a Jamaican immigrant, and when you read her accolades and then also read like what she oversees, like we talked about earlier, the rural hospitals she oversees the rural association. She also happens to work for the administration that is trying to remove funding from said association. She is a largely Christian woman, and all of these things, the way they write these bios about these people is like they are the saved, quote unquote, holier than thou leaders of the country that we need to follow. And I think two things. One, I think people who are below a certain social class have long stopped looking at things from a Democratic and Republican view and have been looking at things from a rich versus poor view. And I think that that's an important perspective.
I'm getting older and I feel like my politics are getting a little bit more conservative. No, you're getting more comfortable, so you're getting more conservative.
And for your hair, I'm gonna start laughing, so I need to trust this.
Wait, she just said oil, and I was like,
Isaiah was over here. His head was so itchy.
Scalp itchy.
Huh?
I said, so put some oil on it. If your scalp itchy, you need a little moisture.
Look, I put some moisture.
Just get a little spray bottle, put some water in it, give you a little moisture.
No,
your
because
scalp
I got
dry.
leg boy hair. No, I'm just playing.
All right, guys. We are approaching 2 hours. We need to start wrapping it up here.
I mean, that's the bullshit part. If your head is feeling like it's itchy, it's dry. You need water or oil or both. Anyway, not the point. That being said, I just want us to be mindful of like, if your agenda is to just vote for somebody black, there are black people who do not support us and who actively are against us, whether they openly say it or not, but based off of how they align themselves. And I'm not saying that she shouldn't be a Republican, but what I'm saying is based off of the administration she's choosing to be a Republican.
Black person to be a Republican. We just went over what the Republican Party is on this reconciliation bill. We need, and this is the problem. Our health topic today deals with anti-intellectualism versus intellectualism. We have allowed the conversations in this country to be robbed by the wrong people or led by the wrong people for too long. When we're talking black people here, when has there ever been a black Republican who has spoken genuinely for the culture? I'll wait. But the Republican Party was the party that freed the slaves, and there wasn't no niggas in fucking Congress then. Not to even get into the fact that they did it for industrialization and not for the fellow man. There has never been a black Republican that has spoken genuinely for the black culture. When you see a black Republican, it is okay to say they not like us. Okay? We are retaking this conversation back. I'm not dealing with this bullshit anymore. Okay? For too long,
I just think it's fucking crazy. The woman is a damn immigrant. You're a whole immigrant.
we've been gaslit. Okay? And
She's a whole immigrant.
and on top of that, I feel like
Hey, whoever shit popping off, tell your hoes keep it quiet.
leftist politics has been co-opted as well. The Democratic Party is the party of the... Isaiah! Turn your time...
First of all, who has notifications on, you psycho?
He likes to...
Everybody's phone is on mute.
He likes to hear the notification so he can take a mental block of how long it's been since he's responded. He's like counting it in his head. Niggas like Dexter.
No.
I was like, you better be,
No.
you better be one of those niggas who respond immediately.
Yeah.
All right, but
What's happening over there?
back to the subject at hand again.
Wait. Can we have a funny moment, please? It's really pissing me off that this joint say 99% for us. Cause what's it gonna take to get it to 100?
What do you mean?
Got Wi-Fi. You know, like the loaded percentage in the app. It says 99, 99, 99, and it shows you like how well connected you are to the studio.
I don't fucking know.
You don't see that number?
I
Yeah,
see it.
it's
I
on
see it. But I'm ready to move on. I'm keeping it banned. We need to get through this.
You always are. That's fine. Can we also at some point talk about gingers being black?
We can talk about that next week. I don't give a shit. That
God, Jabari, you're so boring.
No. We can talk about it next week because there's
apathy and then there's Jabari.
No. There's real conversations that black people are having, and
That is a real fucking conversation.
and there are internet psyop conversations that no real black person who's genuinely trying to see our culture get to the next stage. And when I say the next stage, is being fully, like what Kanye was trying to say, but fully emancipated from capitalism and white nationalism in all aspects, understanding that our history has spun far and wide to the point where why the fuck will we ever have a conversation of our gingers black people? If you're talking about like Scottish people and how they were slaves to the fucking UK, first of all, they weren't chattel slaves, okay? Yes, they experienced a famine. Yes, they experienced all sorts of prejudice.
No, it's from the discrimination.
From when they came to America and they were immigrants, yes. But they were not niggers, okay? They weren't chattel slaves. We're not going to keep
RDR is crazy.
delineating this conversation in the hands of people it doesn't belong to, okay? And this is not something that we're fucking talking about, because for real, the real people who understand their oppression, not just in this country but across the globe, are fighting for things that actually matter, you know? Like, what I want to say is, let's have a conversation about why there's some black people.
Ginger lives matter, Jabari.
Why there's some black people who want to say things like,
Don't ignore me.
Israeli-Palestine conflict ain't got shit to do with me right now. You know what I'm saying? When I would say, no, you know why it does have something to actually do with you is that there's this thing called the authoritarian boomerang. So when your country goes out there and does authoritarian practices to black and brown people in other countries, normally they bring that oppression back home. You saw it with the fucking Iraq and Afghanistan war. I'm sorry, I'm not here to bullshit with these niggas no more. We're getting into our health topic. But right before we do that, some quick fire stories we did not get into this, but happened this month, and I thought were pretty illuminary, okay? So, Kristi Noem, I'm just going to go out here and say it, she's not fit to be a PetSmart manager, let alone the head of Homeland Security. This woman doesn't know what habeas corpus is. If you don't know what habeas corpus is, it's the only thing that prevents the government, your government, from throwing you in jail without due process. Because how do you prove you're not supposed to be in jail? Due process. The next story you should probably look into, again...
Jabari said, this is no longer the bullshit for your health podcast. This is the real shit for your life podcast.
But for real.
Whatever, nigga. I remember when we used to be a fun podcast. No, I'm
We
kidding.
were like an hour ago. An Elon Musk AI data center in Tennessee is blowing methane gas and nitrous oxide into a nearly historic all-black town.
Which one?
I think it's Memphis. It's Memphis, Tennessee. Specifically, Memphis, Tennessee is getting polluted, more pollution than an airport, by methane gas from an AI data center. Oh, by the way, that budget bill we were talking about also looked to stop states from regulating AI companies. So that's on the menu. I think that's also a conversation that black people should be having that has more merit than gingers. They're on our side, okay? Oklahoma leaders were caught on audio talking
It's not about
reporters complaining
just
to no longer
state that it's not about
black people.
gingers being black. It's about how excited they were to be black. Like, that's crazy. Like, you want to be the most oppressed group in the country?
No,
Like, what are they doing to y'all over there?
It's not crazy when you look at black people in the perspective of what other aspect of America brings joy.
Yeah, no, that's the whole point.
That's the whole point. They want to be us because, yes, we're
Yeah,
cool.
I didn't want to talk
Everything
about gingers being black because I think they're black. I want to talk about gingers being excited about being black because everybody want to be us.
Yeah,
always.
and that's fine. But what I'm saying is everybody wants to be us, but we haven't even reached the heights that we can reach. So unless...
But what I'm saying is, let's take the gingers, make them black, and then have them do what they need to do because they're white. You know what I mean? You want to be black? Sure, come through. You just have to sign up to be the person on the front lines.
And I know we're joking, but
I think that's a fair trade-off.
But what I'm saying is we don't need that. We don't fucking need that, bro. We have everything right now. Capital, manpower, history, culture.
Are you saying we are the ones we've been waiting for?
Yes. We have doctors.
Shout out to we the people.
Accountants. We have capital holders. We have billionaires who aren't just billionaires in classism alone, but they're black billionaires. If you like, I'm telling you right now, you have certain rappers who are buying back whole blocks. I was going on my tirade earlier about certain entertainers, but there's other entertainers that are doing the right things. Some of these conversations, while they're all fun and games, I'm here to have them, but don't put more weight into them than you are the real conversations, because all that shit is, in my opinion, are distractions. And in my humblest of opinions, I give some credence to the CIA is doing psyops on these social media sites to infiltrate the conversations that we are concentrating on in our communities to throw us off of our path, which is finding solutions to this country. Because the solutions to our country are not going to come from the brain of some white billionaire. They're just not. They're going to come from a person who's been subject to all the worst aspects of this country since its inception. But, lastly, y'all should look into the fact that the IRS has lost 38% of the workforce that audits billionaires between the months of January and March. In addition, the IRS has cut their direct file program that allowed taxpayers to file taxes for free. You can look at that lobby from TurboTax to thank for that. And all this to say, for every dollar that's cut from the IRS Enforcement Division, it's estimated to cost taxpayers $5 to $7 in revenue. Lastly, but surely not least, we are asking you again to pay attention to what's going on in Palestine. I think in 2026, in these upcoming elections in Virginia, we need to have some hard red flags for candidates. I think one of the red flags needs to be any Democratic candidate who takes AIPAC money, and AIPAC is the Israel lobby that has lobbied billions of dollars throughout our federal government to place Israeli sympathizers. And when I say Israeli, I mean the Israeli government. We are not condoning any violence towards Jews across the world. But the AIPAC lobby has funded billions to members of Congress on both sides of the aisle, and in 2026, nobody on the Democratic side should be voted in who takes AIPAC money. That should be a hard red flag. But Netanyahu has announced plans to seize all of Gaza and hold it indefinitely, so they are moving forward with their plans to ethnically cleanse the Gaza Strip. As you know, there are now hundreds of settler sites in the West Bank that are being terrorized by Israeli settlers. We have multiple American citizens, whether through green card or whether through naturalized citizenship, that are being accosted, apprehended, or questioned because of their support for Palestine. One of which, notably Hassan Piker, was detained by ICE officials while re-entering the United States after a vacation in France. So, not only are all of the domestic problems being ramped up by the Trump administration, but also the authoritarian practices are being targeted at individuals who are speaking out for international crimes against humanity, and our government is threatening our citizenry. It's not enough, man. We can do more. We can do more.
Period.
Now I just want to end on our health topic of the month, and specifically it's with Trump and RFK Jr. picking the Surgeon General. And the current pick is a woman who has not finished a medical residency. I don't actually know her name because, like,
honestly, that's already up from the fucking current DHS official.
Seriously, she hasn't finished her residency and they're actually.
At least she's an actual
appointment.
fucking doctor. I mean, I'm not saying it's a good
but
thing,
I feel like somebody like that. I don't know. You still haven't had that. I feel like you still haven't had the work experience though yet to really be.
No, you haven't done the job. If you haven't finished your residency, you haven't done the fucking job.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
you've literally only done the classroom portion.
Yeah, like that's. I can't believe they're even considering that. That's stupid.
So
the whole time, I know we call it the Surgeon General, and this is just me not being funny. Do you have to be a surgeon?
No. But you know how America looks at surgeons because what area of the hospital makes the most money for the hospital and insurance companies.
Surgeons.
According to the internet, while not explicitly required to be a practicing physician, the individual typically has extensive medical training and often further qualifications in public health or related fields. Is she public health?
No.
Did she go to medical school and then do things on the public health side?
She went to medical school. Hold on, I'm trying to find Trump's pick for Surgeon General. Casey Means. Yeah. So she has no government experience, is not a practicing doctor. She did graduate from Stanford Medical School in 2014, but dropped out of her residency program several years later because she came to view the healthcare system as exploitive. She does a holistic food thing that's supposed to target like chronic illness. I think one of her family members died from a rare cancer, and at that moment she dropped out of her residency program to pursue a career in more holistic medicine. In a similar vein to RFK Jr. and his skepticism for vaccines and the fact that he believes, which is not true, but he believes there's a link between vaccines and autism, and I can kind of put that in the entire arena of the wholeness medicines that are championed by celebrities like Gwyneth Paltrow and like Goop. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, oh, does marijuana have a holistic medical methodology for pain or getting off drugs that can be a better alternative to like methadone or Suboxone? It's like, yo, is a methylene blue like healthy for you or some shit like that? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm putting down?
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, I just feel over the last decade or so, 2 decades, ever since a black man ascended to the highest heights of America, being the President of the United States, there's just been a constant besiege of intellectualism through contemporary channels of gaining that intellectualism, whether it be the discredit of journalists to the discreditation now of different Ivy League universities. We're looking at Harvard, you know, and the irony is not lost on me that white America, who I think has led this charge against intellectualism, I think with the advent of the intellectual dark web and charlatans like Jordan Peterson and the other Weinstein brother, I forget his name, has kind of fueled these sentiments. And it's not lost on me that at the exact same time you have black America, specifically black women, growing to become the most educated subpopulation of America. You have black people in all areas, you have minorities in all areas rising to lead organizations of science, health, medicine, research, and that is the time that America decides to throw all of that reverence for expertise and schooling out the window, you know? And I think you see that as well throughout the years with a retreat of white America from the public school system in favor of more private religious ran schools, while at the same time trying to siphon off federal money towards those schools. It's, in my opinion, I think at its roots a white flight from black spaces and minority spaces, but has grown into a general misunderstanding of where the distrust for these institutions come from. At least that's just my reading of it. You know, you can look at that between comparisons now. People start to speculate that the whole reason Trump has zeroed in on Harvard is not just because they are the first university to fight back, but also because not only Barack and Michelle Obama, but Malia Obama are all Harvard graduates, and we know how obsessed Trump has been with the Obama administration and Obama himself. I think, again now speaking for black men, black people, and our community, we need to understand, while rightfully so, we can have our misgivings or our skepticism about medicine or science, but that has always been science that has been perverted from what science is supposed to do, which is through evidence-based practice, through controlled experiments and empirical evidence, rule out biases. At times, that has not always been the case, but when it has been used in the truest form, it has ruled out those biases. So I think we have to again, ask for our communities to not just acquiesce to the pressures that white nationalism puts on our communities to assimilate to the standards of imperfect science or imperfect or regressive science or regressive thought patterns, but to continue to push forward, continue to encourage our young men to get educated, not just to fall to a system that requires low skill work because that's the way that we've formulated our economy. No, we can do both. We can continue to get educated, but to still be successful in the economy as it is. I think we have to continue to encourage deeper levels of thought, deeper levels of communication that don't just fixate on surface level conversations, even in our conversations that have to do with nothing that has to concern us. We have to continue to be leaders for the future, to lead this country to the great potential that it can be. And I think that...
But even in that vein, I think it goes back to like leader is a scary word to people if they've never taken that role on. And like a leader literally looks like being the person who says something. Like it's not always the person that has a plan from A to Z that's super well thought out and whatever. You don't need to be in a literal position of leadership in order to be a leader. And I think that's where we're missing the gap in where it comes to that apathy. And we had that conversation, or actually no, I was having that conversation with Kyle, and I said the same thing to him. I said, you are an educated Black man in this country. Like, if you're not having these conversations, who else will? Right? Like, you have the ability, the means, and the education to do so. So if you can't figure out where to go spend your Black dollar outside of Target, that's a you problem. Like, it's not that complicated. We may be used to the lifestyle we have and the convenience that comes with said lifestyle, but that doesn't excuse us from being able to read what's happening currently and to understand that like a little does go a long way, number one, and number two, everything matters and everything adds up. If you decide to be that, if everybody had that mindset, then we wouldn't have seen the impact of grassroots movements like we've seen historically, not just in this one instance or in this current time. So it's not always, okay, what are we doing on a national level? What are you doing in your neighborhood, in your community, in your city?
And even then, and the reason why I impress upon conversation in all areas of my life is that the success has perverted the idea in a lot of successful Black people's mind of what it means to be successful. The idea of not returning to your community or moving out of the hood, moving on up, it's fairly novel and new to Black communities, you know what I'm saying? Like, the advent of gangs and hyper-violence in our communities is fairly new, and it goes along with various patterns of economic growth and regression in America, but also advances in our ability as human beings to inflict harm upon another, The idea of educated Black people relinquishing the responsibility we have to reach back and help our brother in the communal sense, but also just the familial sense, is what I can't live with, It's why in our one conversation, I said I don't ever see myself living in another country, but then also why when I talk to individuals of other cultures who want land and want to move off into the country, I'm like, well, I want a house, but I don't want to live far away from the city. And the main reason is because I know for a fact that like forever and always Black people are going to be close into community in the city. Like, it's in our heritage, it's in our blood, and unfortunately we are more often than not the victims of gentrification, and you're not always going to remove all of us. And so instead of, you know, me going and getting my nursing degree, or me going and getting my NP and then moving to, you know, some quintessential nice community in the outskirts of Virginia, like, nah, nigga, I'm gonna stay right here, and I'm going to encourage my other homies to buy homes here, especially if, you know, your idea is to buy 1 or 2 homes, rent it to black people, and let's make Wakanda here, bro. Why can't we do that? We could do that. It's perfectly simple. And again, if maybe Richmond isn't where you want to go, maybe DC is your calling, maybe Baltimore is your calling, you know, maybe Raleigh, maybe Selma, Alabama, maybe Atlanta, Georgia, but that is a calling. And I know it's something we all think about, even the brothers and the sisters who decide to marry outside the race. Like, okay, bring your little biracial babies here, as long as she acting right. But what I'm saying is,
wait, was it you that was like, crazy of you to bring your colonizer with you? Or did I see that somewhere?
That was big. That was me. But
that's hilarious.
I guess what I'm saying is, the more that I become electrified, and I was already fucking on fire, but the more I become electrified, the harder I've gone with my own self-education, with reading. And it's allowed me the catharsis of emotion to understand that the way I'm feeling is not only validated, but my necessity for revolt is also justified. But the imperial evidence that I've gained from whatever progress or assimilation our communities have made to white America is also not wasted, because some of that empirical evidence is not wrong. You know what I'm saying? I just think the idea of what Black America can be hasn't blended the way it needs to just yet. You know, I think we have a tendency as a people to either assimilate to the point where we must start to use apathy in the way we feel, or we have disassimilated to the point where anything that we perceive to be in congruence with white America, we look at as harmful to our existence. And what I'm saying is, white America wouldn't be white America without the input of Black America. So it is now time for us to lead the country in the direction where it will benefit all Americans, man. Capitalism has taken us as far as it can go. We need a revolution to a democratic socialist style system that worries about the community first and foremost, not the individual. Stop worrying about, okay, how life is going to look when we get to the top. But how would life look if we don't make it to the top and we're actually on the bottom? Nobody should have to live with something that is so completely absurd that none of us would that we would all fight tooth and nail and shoot our brother in the foot to avoid it. At least that's what I think.
Yeah, I think that's what most people think. No, it's a matter of getting there.
Shit, but we've given you guys a lot to talk about. I hope a lot to think about. I'm gonna leave you with some more content of the week, and then we're gonna get out of here, man. So my content of the week right now is two interviews. Well, not two interviews. One's an interview, and then one's just a piece of content. The first is The Breakfast Club. They interviewed the vice president of the Democratic National Party. His name's David Hogg. You might recognize that name because he was pretty famous a few years back as one of the survivors of the Parkland shooting. And he has a lot of ideas and a good vision on how the working class and young people can reclaim the Democratic Party. And it's basically by primarying anybody in the Democratic Party if they don't stand up for what we want them to stand up for, which I think should be obvious, but is something that has plagued our politics for decades now. So you can go ahead and look that up again. That's David Hogg on The Breakfast Club. And then lastly, John Oliver on Trump Deportations. I think one of the most dangerous things we're facing when it comes to Trump's authoritarianism is the speed in which that they have militarized the police and have been abducting not only immigrants but American citizens now. And you know, a revolution takes manpower, but it's a lot harder to get manpower when the revolution hasn't even taken off and they're already moving like El Salvador or some other authoritarian dictatorship. But yeah, that's me. Y'all got any content of the week before we get out of here?
I mean, I've been kind of binge watching financial audit with that Caleb, the Caleb guy. Yeah, I've been binging his stuff, and it's really been like kind of like thinking like just a little bit more about like the future a little bit more, and just like the way that I handle my money, spend my money, and just be a little bit more conscious whenever it comes to like what I spend my money on. But I've been tracking my stuff mostly, and I've been noticing that like I spend a lot of money on food, not necessarily eating out, but like grocery wise. Like this past month, I probably spent about like $700 worth of groceries. So it was kind of an eye opener for me.
For sure, man. For sure. I think what's good about that type of stuff is that if you are on the first piece of financial literacy, which is gaining the information that you need to be financially literate, that is a good wake-up call. Because I don't think enough people think about their finances more so than check to check or week to week, but day to day, you know?
Yeah.
And the other reason why I'll say that those shows are good, but you shouldn't get obsessed with them, because it can probably lead you in a place of feeling a lot of despair, is that, yeah, a lot of these people make stupid financial decisions, but in my opinion, stupid financial decisions shouldn't detrimentally bankrupt you for fucking life, bruh. You know what I'm saying?
I think so. I get
And,
it. It's like,
and life is
sometimes
also very hard right now in our economy.
because sometimes I find myself, I like look back and like think about the stuff that I bought or like things that I've done, and I'd be like, damn, like I really like put myself in like a kind of a hole. Like for example, like the car that I just got, like I needed a car and I couldn't find a $10,000 car.
Yeah, you needed a car because
I couldn't find it.
we have no walkable cities in America.
No, we don't. And I just couldn't, for the life of me, I could not find me a $10,000 car because that was my budget.
And you live in LA, so it's like, bro.
Like I need a car.
And that's one of the realities of life that I say, that like it's like, yeah, watch that show, get woken up to the reality that is adulthood, of you should probably have a budget. Not you should probably, you should have a budget. You should be thinking about money more than a paycheck out. Honestly, I would say 6 months to a year out, you should be kind of really thinking about what's going on in life, and then you can get into the more deeper conversations. But I would also say, don't obsess over it, especially if you're doing the right things to be successful in life, man, because America does make it hard, like i.e. requiring you to have a car, but then that make a car affordable. But yeah, Donica, do you have any content of the week before we get out of here?
I do. My content of the week is I don't know if she's an influencer. She's a TikToker. She's also on Instagram.
What?
I was like, yeah, what happened?
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, we can hear you. Why did she get in jail? Yo, I was listening to a J-Lo song. I didn't realize she said the N word one time, like for all these years with the song with Ja Rule. Forever. Yeah, yeah. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
So this has been
sorry.
bullshit for your health. We appreciate you guys for listening. Like, share, subscribe. We will be out again with a new episode on the 1st of June and then the 1st of July. We're doing one episode a month for this year right now while I'm finishing up my travels. But heading to New York soon, so, shit, man. Love to connect. Hit us up on the podcast page. You can follow the private socials. But again, we can do more. You got more in the tank, man. It's either tyranny or revolution. Tyranny or revolution. That
Revolution.
or revolution. But all right, sending love, power, and energy to everybody listening, man. We appreciate y'all. Peace out.